intercepted at the goal line by Malcolm Butler.
45 remaining. Tatum drives down and throws it down. Bases loaded. 2 out. Hard hit into right. Back at the wall. Tie game. Big Puppy.
No icing. For the first time in 39 years, the Boston Bruins have won the Stanley Cup.
Anything's possible!
Hey everyone, and welcome to another edition of Kickin' with Kruse. I'm your host, Ben Kruse, as always. Alongside here is my co-host for tonight, as usual, James Gonzalez. We're planning to have Isaiah Leon coming on in a little bit. Happy Friday, everybody. Hopefully all are going to have a very good weekend ahead. At least here in the East Coast, James. I feel like every single weekend that we've had, it's been rain. It's been insane. Like the last 4 or 5 weeks, it's just been straight Saturday or Sunday. It's just been rain. So hopefully that will eventually stop at some point. But, glad to obviously, get through the end of the week. And James, we have a lot of great stuff we can get into for tonight. Of course, a lot of stuff baseball-wise related. What a day we had today. Baseball might have been possibly the best day of the postseason. So we'll talk about that as, to start off, as well as obviously our week 6. We're now going into week 7, James, of the NFL season. That's really, crazily flown by. We'll talk a little bit of the trade deadline a little bit. That's coming up for football as well. And then basketball season. Officially, the regular season starts this coming week. We'll preview some of the first early games. And then we'll also, talk a little bit about who do you guys feel that the MVP is going to be for this season. And that'll pretty much be that. I do want to say before we get started, James, I just want to have a couple things really quickly. The first thing is I do want to thank everybody that was at the watch party a couple days ago. The first one that we hosted in terms of on our network. James was there, Stephen Wine was there, Isaiah was there. Just want to thank everybody that was really a part of that. And we hopefully get the chance to potentially do one this weekend and definitely do some more during the World Series. We got over, I think, 18K views. We got a lot of our viewership off from just doing those watch parties. So I thank you guys once again. Awesome. And definitely we'll continue to do more if you guys really enjoy it. And also make sure to follow, like, subscribe to the IM6 MI6 network on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, all that fun jazz. So I just want to obviously get that to you guys out there. All right, so I'll kick it over now to James. James, how are you doing tonight, my friend?
Man, I am. Well, it's a good thing you're packed in with the rain because you got a lot of sports going on, a lot of impactful games. I know we're not going to talk about college football, but you got Penn State, Ohio State, number 6 and number 3 in the nation. That should be fun, of course, tomorrow morning here, of course, afternoon there. So if it's raining, you have that. And then you also got the NLCS. You have some NBA preseason, I'd imagine. But all the college football, just so much going on right now. Again, that's why I say just like last week. I love this time of year, and then I love like at the end of March, beginning of April, because you have all those things happening at that time.
Yeah, and it's also, obviously I love football season. October is usually the best, right around the best kind of months of it. It's still kind of around New England. Got the fall leaves. You got pretty decent, weather and everything like that. And with the way that this Patriots season has been going this year, it's been a little rough. So I've obviously, still obviously been following them for sure, but I've been kind of keeping tune with the other stuff going on in the sports world. And thankfully, there's been some other things that I've been able to watch that have been kind of able to heal the pain up a little bit. So, all right. So I do have quick comments here. Isaiah Leon, I don't like this time of year. Isaiah's not really, guys, in the best of moods here
No.
tonight. So, we'll obviously kind of let him come on and let him obviously let out his frustrations. And he said that he's coming on. So obviously we can't wait to have Isaiah as usual come on. All right, James, let's get started with the baseball segment as usual. Of course, like I mentioned, this might have been the best day of games. I know that obviously divisional round was all right. I mean, there were some close games here and there, but if you look at it just overall specifically, two of these games, right? The Astros and Rangers, the first game, and then you had a double dip today, right? So essentially back-to-back games. And Houston obviously, after being down 2-0 in this series, I had a feeling that they weren't going to go away down quietly. They won Game 3, which was the game that we did the watch party for. They really started to get their bats going. Then Game 4, I was actually able to get the chance to watch a lot of it because I was in New York City, but I got the chance to just see it on my phone in terms of they absolutely exploded. And it really wasn't a game from the start. They used Urquidy against Heaney, and Heaney was out early on. So, it's 2-2, and now this was the pivotal game today. And it was an absolute, classic. This was a type of baseball game that you really just look back and be like, wow, I can tell my family and my friends. And obviously we're not even at the World Series yet. So it's obviously great to see. We'll kind of start in terms of recapping first Game 5 of this series. And James, I obviously will kind of ask you this before we get Isaiah on in terms of kind of how you feel the rest of this series is going to go personally. But I think just from this, get-go here, I mean, Jordan Montgomery, I thought pitched all right. He got the tab today. He won 5 innings, only 3 strikeouts, but only walked 2 guys, only 2 runs earned. So he obviously did his job. He's had a 2.38 earned average, in this overall postseason. So he's done pretty well. But you look at it here with the line for the Rangers. Marcus Semien, your leadoff hitter, won 0 for 5 today. Corey Seager, 1 for 5. Essentially, they were combined 1 for 10. That's not going to get the job done if you're the Rangers. Your number 1 and 2 hitters, essentially 2 of your best hitters, especially when they were in crunch time in the bottom of the 9th as well, too. And then they come through. Evan Carter is your 3 guy. He's been a pleasant surprise this year, a young kid. Obviously, Adolis Garcia has been an absolute phenom. He's an absolute one of the most underrated superstars. He was in a big, obviously the homer he had today, and of course the brawl. Yes, there was a little bit of brawl. I didn't think that this series was going to go down without any type of, fights, skirmish, whatever you want to call it. But there was definitely one today. Yeah, and we do now have Isaiah. Isaiah, obviously, I know obviously you're not probably in the best of moods, but hey, if you're thinking on the bright side, it's a Friday, right? In terms of my area, I told James this. Every single weekend, I could you not, for like the last 4 or 5 weekends, it's been absolutely raining here. So it's just like it could be a lot worse. Yeah, it's crazy. Every Saturday or every Sunday, I'll be at work, and I've just gone through my week. It's almost like the weather gods in New England just hate us right now. It's just been absolutely incredible. And a lot of the off days that I've been having on weekends has been Saturdays. And a lot of those weather days are rain. So it's like I'm really at home just doing nothing. But, there's going to be a lot of great football on tomorrow, a lot of good college games, definitely more postseason baseball tomorrow. But I'll get to you, Isaiah. Obviously, I know that you're probably not doing great. But outside of that, how are you doing?
Not good, to be honest. I was very invested and watched both of these games today, from the first pitch all the way until the last pitch. And yeah, man, I had to witness the pain and the agony of both games. I remember I was texting James when Garcia hit that home run. I remember texting James that, oh my God, Adolis Garcia just lifted the Rangers off the mat, and the Rangers are going to win this game now. And then I was laughing at the Astros when the brawl happened. And, karma basically bit me in the butt.
Mm-hmm.
And then not once but twice. It's one thing for the Rangers to lose the way they did, but then the Phillies followed up losing the way the Rangers did. So, just not a good day in terms of baseball. But I mean, honestly though, like in the big picture, broad aspect of the series though, we hyped this series up. Going back last week, we said it was going to be an incredible playoff series. We said that it was going to be one of the best playoff series of all time. And honestly, like besides the Rangers losing 3 in a row and losing tonight, you can make the case that this has been one of the best playoff series of all time because you've had some great games, game 1 and 2, a lot of offense, games 3 and 4, and then tonight had everything, heart pounding action, epic home runs. You had a brawl breakout. I mean, when is the last time you had a brawl breakout in the playoffs? Like, it's just crazy how this series unfolds. And let me tell you guys this, even though I'm down about the Rangers for this night, I don't think the Rangers are done. I don't think the Rangers are done, and I don't think that this series is done. And I'd be shocked if the series ends in 6 games, given how everything has shaped out thus far. But besides baseball, it's been good. College football tomorrow, a lot of great matchups. Can't wait for Ohio State, Penn State. That's going to be a really good game. And then, the NFL, my team doesn't play until Monday, but a lot of NFL action on Sunday as well. We also got potentially both game 6s, or both game 5 in Philly, or game 5 Phillies. No, game 5's tomorrow. A lot of big baseball games over this weekend. So it's really going to be a really, really good sports weekend. And I can't wait for it.
All right. Obviously, Isaiah, we thank you for coming on. And Isaiah, we also said too before you came on too, in terms of the gratitude and thankfulness of our viewers from the watch party. And I obviously just want to give a quick shout out for that from Wednesday. And after the show, or maybe at like the end of the show, we can maybe discuss potentially in terms of when we could do another one, because I know we talked about possibly, maybe Monday. I was thinking even my show. We could potentially have a split screen of you and Steven watching the Niners and Vikings, and then we could have a game 7 on the other one. I mean, that could be one of the biggest, shows ever in terms of our program. But we'll see where things go from there. All right, in terms of the actual game, like you mentioned, James and Isaiah, so Bregman got a homer to start the game at the top of the first. Nathaniel Lowe in the bottom of the 5th tied it up with the homer opposite field. Justin Verlander pitched pretty good in this one, 5 innings, kind of similar to Montgomery's line. He did give up 2 home runs that seemed like they were going to be pivotal at the time, but he went decently fine. The Astros got back in the top of the 6th. Jose Abreu with the single. Yordan Alvarez went to 3rd. Bregman scored. That was actually the inning where I thought the Astros were going to break the game open. You remember that same inning, Marcus Semien made an absolute phenomenal play to keep that at bay there after Corey Seager had the blemish on the defensive side. Adolis Garcia in the bottom of the 6th might have had one of the most, it looked at the time, very clutch home runs. The Rangers were really starving for runs. I mean, they really struggled for a lot of this game offensively. And I know you said off the air, Isaiah, I just was telling James about the struggles with Semien and Seager. Today they went and combined 1 for 10. And in terms of your 1 and 2 guys, you cannot have that happen at all. I don't care who you are. But as you mentioned with Corey Seager being the Steph Curry of baseball, I mean, you look at the stats here and him being 1 for 5, including a pivotal time in the bottom of the 9th where they could have tied the game. I love Corey Seager to death, but you might want to recheck your overall thing about that. We'll see, though. Hey, I could be wrong, too. He might be able to have a Steph Curry moment in Game 6 where they might need it badly. So, all right, yeah, so Adolis Garcia had the 4-2 lead, top of the 9th. Jose Leclerc pitched the top of the 8th. And you remember, guys, there was a long layoff because there was a little bit of a brawl that happened. Brian Abreu hit Adolis Garcia. Then the floodgates open. And I think probably in terms of the actual brawl itself, I think the actual just wait time was about like 15 minutes. So for Leclerc, I mean, he was taking a long, long time, and I could just see it. His command after that overall brawl was just not there. And I think the play of the game wasn't the Jose Altuve home run. It was the John Singleton walk, because you can't walk the 9 guy if you're Jose Leclerc. You had a full count, and you knew for a fact that the top of the order was coming up, and you had the big bats coming up. You got to just pound him. If he makes a mistake and hits it out, he hits it out. But that was, I think, the most pivotal point of the game. Yandy Diaz had the single. He's a decent hitter. He pinched it. John Singleton walk. I mean, I think to me that was a play of the game, because your bats came up. You had Altuve, you had Dubon, who's been really going well in the playoffs. Then you had Bregman, then you had Jordan. So I think that was the most pivotal point in the time there. But then the Rangers, bottom of the ninth, they didn't quit. Garver single, Heim singled. Heim had a pretty good game today. But then you had Simeon, Seager, and Carter, and they weren't able to bring them through. Simeon with the line out, which Kessinger made a pretty good play on it. Seager had a warning track fly out, and then Evan Carter with 2 guys on struck out to end the game. Astros with a come-from-behind victory. They now lead the series 3-2, going back to Houston for 2 more games. They have a chance to clinch for the World Series once again in their franchise on Sunday. Now, before we get into you guys in terms of how you guys feel like the series could go from here, the probable pitchers, I believe, I don't know if they're announced yet in terms of, okay, so you have Evaldi and you have Framber Valdez, according to Yahoo Sports. Remember, Evaldi went into Houston. Isaiah, if this makes you feel better, Evaldi against the Astros in Houston in Game 2, he pitched really well. He pitched really, really well, I thought. He could give you length. And Framber Valdez, he hasn't been going well. He has not been doing the last couple of games here. I mean, you look at it right now, Framber Valdez has not eclipsed ever since September 23rd. So, this is including September 23rd against the Kansas City Royals. In the last 5 outings, he has not clipped the 6th inning once. So, if you're the Rangers, if you want to look at a silver line, Isaiah, like you said, I don't think this series is over, but that loss could absolutely just kill them. It really could, because this Astros team essentially is now smelling. They're smelling blood in terms of they essentially, after the brawl and after the kind of the Dusty Baker stuff, you essentially woke on the beast. And I've seen this story many times with this team. So do you guys personally think? So for me specifically, I think I picked Astros in 6 before the ALCS started. I personally going to stand my word on it. I think that the Astros are going to finish the job here. I don't think that they want to go to Game 7 because it could be a winner-take-all type feel. I think that they finish it up, and I think that the Rangers, Cinderella, great run, playoffs, coming to a screeching halt. And I'll kind of talk about my score prediction after. What about you, James? Do you feel like that the Rangers are going to advance to a potential Game 7, or do you feel like the Houston's going to finish it on Sunday?
Man, seeing how the Rangers took the first 2 games in Houston, they had all the momentum. But now it just seems like the Astros have the momentum. I know they don't play well at home, but you have to believe now that they're going to take it, even though it's basically a repeat of Game 2, pitching-wise. You have to believe Valdez is going to do better. Valdi will do better as well. The way the series is going, it feels like, okay, it's going to go to Game 7 with every road team winning, unless, Game 7, like I had Houston in 7. But I would say as of right now, it feels like the Astros finished the series off Sunday night and win Game 6, and the Astros move on. I just feel like they have the championship pedigree. They have the veterans. And I know the Rangers have veterans as well, just Simeon and Seager, and, Bochy there as well, along with some of the pitchers. But I just feel like Houston's on their way. Presley is just unbeatable, it seems like. He's perfect in the postseason. I feel like that's going to be a big factor if they can get it to him. Just as you mentioned with the big boppers of Rangers not coming up clutch, I think that's going to hurt him. I just think the Astros are going to ride this momentum of winning 3 straight and now going back home and just finishing out the series on Sunday.
Definitely, absolutely. And now I'm gonna give my keys over to Isaiah here. Isaiah, obviously you're the Rangers and stuff like that, and but by the way, for me personally, I'm pulling for the Rangers. I hope that they can move on. I've been tired. I've been sick and tired to see the Astros go in the World Series every single year. But I can obviously respect at this point in time. It's just really hard to hate in terms of what they've been building for so long, and obviously just see something different. It's like, I'm a Patriot fan, but I know there's a lot of teams. People just hate to see the Patriots every single year in the Super Bowl. And it's just I just want something different, something new juice, I guess you can say. But if in terms of the Rangers, Isaiah, my first question to you is, what went wrong? How did this whole entire situation happen? Where do you think that the turning point was? First in the series, 2 in this game, and then 3. Do you feel like the Rangers have it in them to respond from this crushing loss and get to a Game 7?
Well, first off, about Game 5, like I said, I watched this game from start to finish. Me and James and Ben were texting back and forth during the game. And, it was definitely one of the most devastating losses that I've experienced as a sports fan. From the 49ers losing to the Chiefs in the Super Bowl, the Niners losing to the Ravens in the Super Bowl, the Lakers losing to your Celtics back in 2008. This is probably up there with some of them. The A's losing to the Rays in the AL wildcard game. I mean, it's definitely up there because it wasn't that they lost, it was the way they lost, right? If they got blown out, I'd be like, okay, whatever. You got blown out, go back to Houston where you took the first 2 games and you could dominate because a blowout is easier to recover than a crushing defeat like tonight.
Right.
But it was just, you're down 1-0 after Bregman hits the homer. Then Nathaniel Lowe hits that homer to lift you off the mat. And then the Astros come back, bases loaded. They get a run after Seager boots that ground ball into center field. And then after that, I mean, Josh Sborz, I was going to come here. If the Rangers had won, I was going to come here and say that Josh Sborz saved the season for the Texas Rangers. Because if he, and I know Garcia had that big home run, but Sborz, bases loaded, 1 out. Bases loaded, 1 out. You already no runs were given up. You had, the big boppers coming up for the Houston Astros. I was like, oh crap, this is going to be like 3 or 4 or 5 runs for the Houston Astros. But for Sborz to only give up 1 run, that was absolutely huge by Josh Sborz to limit it, get it to a 2-1 deficit, going back to the bottom of the 7th, I believe. And then that's when the game turned. I feel like Garcia or Marcus Semien, I believe it was, it wasn't Semien, I believe. It was Seager with the double, and then Carter with the base hit. And I was screaming on my TV. I was like, dude, Seager, you got to score on that. You got to score on that. He didn't score because I was like, crap. The Rangers have had trouble playing small ball this entire postseason that I thought Seager was not going to score. And then Garcia hits the home run. And then I'm like, oh, damn, man, I can't believe that Garcia just lifted the Rangers from the dead. And he hit that home run. I was like, dang, you hit it off Verlander. It's 4-2 now. It seems like the Texas Rangers have all the momentum now. I was like, okay, man, I think we got this. And then when the Astros hit the Rangers, hit Garcia, I was like, okay, we got this in the bag because Rangers are pissed. They got runners at first and second, nobody out. The Astros are being petty. Their frustrations are coming out. And then they have this huge brawl and the bottom of the 9th ends up happening, Leclerc, first batter, base hit to Diaz, then Singleton, walk, and then Altuve comes in and hits the home run, and then it's just absolutely crushing. So it just went from, you're the highest of highs and then to the lowest of lows. That's how it went, and it was just absolutely devastating, man. I don't know personally how the Rangers are going to recover from this loss because of how devastating it is. The Texas Rangers might have to take some like Chinese herbs or some type of medicine or type of those type of luck inducing type of medicine and just splatter it all over the walls because this franchise, I swear, they're cursed. They're cursed. Like every time something good happens, it's like they tease us. Like there's a little bit of good that happens, and then the Rangers just choke. It happened in 2011 when they were one strike away from winning the World Series. It happened in 2016 when they were up 2-0 against the Blue Jays in the ALCS, and they choked it away and lost 3 games and lost the series to the Blue Jays. And then it happens tonight. I just don't know. Like it's just the Rangers are just a cursed franchise. I just can't explain it. Just a devastating loss by the Texas Rangers tonight. Ben, to answer your question about where it turned, I felt like it turned in the 8th inning. It turned when you had runners at first and second after the hit by pitch, and they could not get the run home. They could not get another run home. Like Josh Young struck out. He could not even get a fly ball or a ground ball, medium deep ground ball. He couldn't get it. And you went from potentially being able to score at least one insurance run to not even scoring any runs. And that's how the game turned. They score right there, and Altuve still hits the bomb. It's 5-5, and we're probably going to extra innings. So I felt like the game turned right there. And fellas, I'll say this right now. Aroldis Chapman, I understand why Bochy was hesitant to use him for the bottom of the 8th, to get that last out. But I feel like he should have because the batter that he faced that got a hit, it was a 100-mile-an-hour fastball, and he hit it off the end of the bat for a base hit. It was a lucky hit. I felt like Chapman throughout that entire inning was overpowering, the 2 hitters that he had faced. I felt like he had
Jordan Alvarez.
Yeah, to Alvarez. I mean, that was some really, really, really nasty stuff right there. And I just felt like Chapman has had some of the best stuff that we've seen this entire postseason. And, I don't know why Bochy never let him go out for that to get that last out. It made no sense whatsoever. You force Leclerc in to pitch, get that last out, and then to get the 9th. Closers always struggle when they have to pitch more than 1 inning. You saw that with Kimbrel the other night, and now you see it with Leclerc. And here's a bold idea that I'll throw out. I don't think Bochy for the bottom of the 9th or top of the 9th. I don't think Bochy should have went to Leclerc. I think what Bochy should have done is Bochy should have went to Max Scherzer because Max Scherzer has great stuff. He's got amazing stuff. And yeah, he would have been only on 1 or 2 days rest. But when you're on 1 or 2 days rest for a starting pitcher, that's when you throw your bullpen. And I think that Bochy should have thrown him in there and just be like, you need this game desperately. Yeah. It's all hands on deck. Just do it. Forget about Game 6 and Game 7. We'll worry about that later. But you should have done that. And I felt like Bochy, that was a missed opportunity by him. And also, I feel like Bochy screwed up by in the bottom of the 9th. Runner at first and second, nobody out. Bunt Marcus Semien. Tell Marcus Semien to drop the bunt down, move the runners over to second and third, and then have Seager drive him in because Seager with these situations up, he always thrives at it. Like I just think Leclerc screwed up, the Rangers screwed up with situational hitting, and Bochy screwed up. Like I can't believe I'm saying this, but Bochy's a 3-time World Series champion manager, and he screwed up by just not having Semien bunt, not playing situational baseball, and I felt like he should have just thrown Scherzer in there. But, I mean, it's just a devastating gut punch, crushing loss by the Rangers tonight. Like I was telling James earlier, I felt like, 15 girls broke up with me tonight. Like I felt like that's how bad of a gut punch that it was, man. It's just absolutely just devastating loss, man, by the Texas Rangers. And, I'll say this, fellas, about as we move towards Game 6, good thing that it's in Houston because the Astros have notoriously struggled there this postseason and this season. They're under 500 in Houston for some reason. And also, good thing that Eovaldi's pitching, because if it was like a Scherzer or if it was Dane Dunning that was pitching, I would have been like, yeah, season's over, wrap it up, don't even show up for Game 6. But the fact that it's Eovaldi pitching, Nasty Nate thrives in the postseason, and he thrives in big moments in the playoffs. So I still have confidence in the Rangers, although I'm kind of teetering on that, but I still have confidence in Texas. But if there's one team that can go into Houston with their backs against the wall and win, it's the Texas Rangers, because this team has been streaky all season long, and they've had their backs against the wall. They've been in such terrible situations, and they've somehow, some way, when we least expect it, they just bounce back. Like, we all thought their season was dead after they blew that last game against the Seattle Mariners, and they lost that game. So, yeah, I do think Texas, I have the confidence in them, but they got to get off to a fast start. And those big boppers, Seager, Garcia, Simeon, they got to come alive, man. You got to come alive. You're getting paid the big buck. You cannot go whatever, like 1 or 2 for 17 or whatever it is.
Yeah, no, you made a ton of great points there, Isaiah, in terms of just kind of what went wrong with them. Situational hitting, who to blame. It's just a lot, because playoff baseball, the stakes are just higher. And so there's essentially one little mistake could potentially cost you a specific game. That's pretty much how it goes. James, do you have any other leftover thoughts? I know you obviously mentioned that you had the Astros obviously finishing off in 6. But in terms of this game itself, any other leftover thoughts?
Yeah, it's a great game. I think it's one of those we'll remember for a while. It's just one of those we put at the top. I think obviously the best game of this postseason. That skirmish that happened in the bottom of the 8th or whenever it did. That to me, or no, I'm sorry, the bottom of the 8th, right? Yeah, the bottom of the 8th. That to me wasn't a brawl. I think I can go back to, Yankees and Red Sox. When A-Rod and Veritek. Now that was a brawl.
Yeah.
Not just hovering around each other and everybody just grabbing each other or talking. That's not a brawl. Isaiah kept saying, "Oh my God, we got a brawl." I said, "No. Go back to, the Yankees."
Don
Red
Zimmer.
Sox.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that happened, but that's when I think of a brawl. Not what happened today, but you knew something eventually was going to come up. In this series, it just happened at the wrong time, as Isaiah mentioned, for Leclerc and the Rangers. Because, like I told him, I said, man, Leclerc has been in that dugout for a long time, and the relievers especially want to be out there right away, as quick as they can. No delays, no interruptions, nothing like that. No long, questionable issues, nothing like that. You go out there right away. And again, a shout out to Verlander. He did really well. Man, Montgomery did very well. The game went about as I thought it would. The first 5 innings, where it's going to be one run for each, or 1 run for one team and 0 for another. Presley again went very well. Nathaniel Lowe, good to see him get a home run. But man, Jose Altuve now 26 postseason home runs. I think Manny has 29. I want to say.
Manny Ramirez?
Yeah, for the postseason
Something like that.
history. Yeah. So man, he's climbing up there. I like what Pedro Martinez said, where he's climbing up to be maybe the best second baseman of all time. As much as maybe people don't like him because he was part of that scandal, and you just knew he was front and center of that scandal after the home run of Chapman in 2019. But even after this, they just kept going. Again, this is their 7th straight LCS. So, and then Simeon and Seager both. I know Simeon got an error for not, having that forced play, but then Seager had an issue with the ball hit hard to him. It was just things we don't normally see from the Texas Rangers defense. But man, the pitching did as well as they could. But that whole skirmish that happened, that really messed with Leclerc. the whole thing that happened with Dusty Baker getting thrown out, you just knew he was just buying time. He was that was a veteran move by him, and it worked out for him and the Rangers. And man, you can just tell. I think the air's out of the balloon for Texas. Again, I think it's over on Sunday.
All right, let's get out to the NLCS. Now, this series, James, we kind of talked about it, I think, after game 2, that this seemed like specifically a really quick series. Or, maybe a gentleman's sweep. Maybe the D-backs take a game or two.
I was wrong.
I was wrong too. I really was. After the way that the Phillies were erupting, that crowd, the first couple games, I'm like, oh man, this just feels like the team of destiny. And this is why playoff baseball is the best, because you just never know the unexpected. Series could flip like a switch like that, and you just never know. Yeah, I mean, just look at it. Just this game in general, it came down to the implosion of the bullpen for the Phillies. They were up 5-2. Craig Kimbrell, same thing in terms of kind of similar to the Rangers. Late game bullpen situation. The D-backs had a really close one yesterday, 2-1 only. D-backs only scored 2 runs. The Phillies, their bats kind of went silent. Then their bats today, they got a homer by Schwarber. They got a double by Marsh, so it's 2-2. And then Bohm had I believe it was a 2-base error from the third baseman. I think it was bases loaded for the Phillies. They got another run, I think, on a sac fly, so it was 5-2. The D-backs got another run, made it 5-3, and then that's when Alec Thomas, off the bench, by the way, James, hits a homer into the pool in right center field to tie the game. Fans are now starting to feel it. They're just like, oh, can we actually make this and win this? Possibly win this series, but like heck, just even to tie it. I think there wasn't a lot of people that were down 2-0. Like, this is playoff juice. It kind of feels like we're gonna have another comeback for another team. And Gabriel Moreno, who I think has been one of the biggest bright spots this year, a really good bright spot during the playoffs too. Who they got from the Blue Jays. It's a go-ahead single in the bottom of the 8th. I thought specifically that they kept in Kimbrell a little bit too long. I thought that personally, he hits the homer. Alec Thomas did. Then he hits Corbin Carroll. And then they brought in Alvarado. I thought maybe you could have brought in Alvarado against Carroll, possibly there. But and Isaiah has some comments already from here in terms of that was Rob Thompson.
Yeah.
Edward Lee also had some comments about the Astros Rangers. Phillies will take the win or loss to D-backs. Yeah, I mean, look at it. There's obviously the implosion of the Craig Kimbrell situation. I obviously will kind of get with you about that, James. But Rob Thompson, I mean, I just feel like that he kept in Craig Kimbrell too long, and he actually struggled in Game 3. Craig Kimbrell did. So he's had his moments where he could be really good, and obviously I hate to count on one guy, but I mean, heck, you really had the game in hand, and now instead of you being up 3-1 and going back, they have a clinch. They would have had a clinching game tomorrow, actually today now for me, but now it's 2-2, and now it's gonna be a best of 3, or essentially this point in time of the rest of the series. So, but man, this has been a fun series, at least the second half here, and yeah. Well, what do you think?
All right, so today was definitely a bullpen game, with the opener with Sanchez, but and Hoffman fared very well. Strom, Dominguez, Soto. All Soto gave up a run, but Kimbrell, yeah, they used him yesterday. He blew the game yesterday, and he blew it today. Something tells me he shouldn't have been brought in, but they were already running out of pitchers. So, just in case the game went on to extras, you didn't want to have just, one pitcher out there for the rest of the game. So that really handicapped Rob Thompson. That was really unfortunate. But man, like I told Isaiah about that Alec Thomas home run, there was a shot of I think Thomas coming out of the dugout, and just before he was going to go to the on-deck circle, Torey Lovallo tells him, "Hey, look out for this pitch from Kimbrel." He told him literally what to look out for and what he can drive. You know, not the pitch inside, but the pitch that was outside that Thomas hit in the pool. So not inside, but outside. That was really cool information I gathered. And, you know, that just shows you, though, how good Torey Lovallo really is and with his young players. Yeah. When you think about it, other from Tommy Pham, you know, Christian Walker's been there a long time. But from that, you know, everybody's basically brand new to this. And it just makes me hate that, you know, I don't have someone like that as a coach or manager with the Angels. But seeing someone like that, Torey Lovallo, just maybe Kimbrel's been around too long. Maybe, you know, Lovallo saw something last night where it's like, okay, he's gonna do this again if he comes in. And man, it just seems like Kimbrel, don't have him pitch tomorrow. There's no way you can have him tomorrow unless it's an emergency. That's basically it. Same time, same place, a pivotal Game 5. I just can't wait. Gabriel Moreno, you know, I didn't even know about the guy coming into this season, but it seemed like it started out with the Brewer series. He was having clutch hits. He was also getting concussed by a bat to the helmet. Then he had I think a ball hit him in the hand, I believe, that was exposed. So he's been banged up this postseason. But, man, he's able to come through, you know, with the game-winning hit there. With the single, I should say. So that was really cool to see. The crowd there, you could tell who was Philly fan, who was the Diamondback fan. So that was amazing. Shout out to Ginkel and then Seawald for getting a second straight save in this series. And, yeah, now, you know, pivotal Game 5, same time, same place. I just can't wait for it. You mentioned the starting pitching. Yeah, Wheeler tomorrow and Gallen. You can't you can't really get any better than that for a pivotal game like this. I know Gallen was tattooed in Philadelphia, but that was a different time, a different place. Now you're home.
Yeah, different
you
environment.
feel confident. You know, the fans are for you and not against you. And the majority are for you, unlike Citizens Bank. So I think he's going to be better. Wheeler, and he's been great all year. This might come down to the bullpens again, and I would have to think the advantage goes to Arizona, but the power just has to come from the Phillies surge. I'm really looking forward to it, but I don't know who's going to win Game 5. That's the beauty of it.
Yeah, and two more quick things before we get into football, James. I don't know if you've realized this. In the ALCS, all the teams so far in the series has been the road team.
Right.
And all the teams in the NLCS have been the home team. So, will the trend continue for both? That's pretty much kind of what's going to be up for grabs at this point in time. So, like you mentioned, James, tomorrow, NLCS Game 5. Thank you. That'll be at 5:07 on TBS. And then Game 6, Rangers at Houston, will be at 8:07. We'll have Evaldi against Framber Valdez. Another thing, too, is at least on our channel, we'll try to get a watch party at some point, maybe tomorrow, maybe Sunday, you know, especially when there's some potential clinching games coming up. So in terms of our channel, for those that are specific fans, I know we had a ton, James, of Astro fans on our first watch party, a ton of Rangers fans. So, and just fans in general, it was a lot of fun. So, we'll obviously talk more about that. But now, with that being said, let's transit over to football. So, let's get into, James, obviously week 6, like I mentioned, this season has been flying. It's been flying by. And I did kind of want to get into really quickly just kind of the standings, because I really haven't kind of talked about that, to be honest. Kind of as we're kind of getting quarter to like midway part of this season so far. So I'll quickly go through them. I obviously kind of won't recap in terms of each team. But to start the AFC East, Miami's in first place. They're 5-1. Buffalo is second. They're 4-2. The Jets are 3-3, and this is, by the way, without Aaron Rodgers, which is absolutely incredible.
Best case scenario for the Jets.
I know my
to be
Patriots
3-3
are 1-5. Yeah, I'll just say that. I have no other type of explanation besides that. AFC West, Kansas City at 5-1. They're in first. Your Raiders, James, are 3-3. They're in second place. The Chargers are 2-3 in third place. And then the Denver Broncos, Isaiah's pick to go to the AFC title game, is in last place.
Ouch.
Sorry, Isaiah, if you're listening. I obviously my team's in last place with the same record, so I can't really talk. AFC North, Baltimore. This has actually been a pretty good division right now in terms of its race. Baltimore's 4-2, but they've kind of had their mishaps the last couple weeks here. They haven't been crazily impressive compared to the first couple weeks. Pittsburgh, they're 3-2. Cleveland is 3-2, even though their quarterback situation has been kind of a mess all year, but their defense is one of the best in football. And the Bengals, after kind of a really slow start to their season, and Joe Burrow,
they're coming.
They're coming. They're starting to feel a little bit. They're now 500, which I feel like some a win for them come to the bye week. And then they're really crazy stretch after that is coming soon. Then the AFC South, you have Jacksonville after a really slow start to the year. They're 5-2. They just beat the Saints, which, by the way, I thought was a pretty good game. I did get the chance
second half.
The second half, yeah. I got the chance to see some of the ending on my phone on the train home because I was absolutely tired. And I saw, the game's still going on. So I saw the ending there. The Colts and the Houston Texans are 3-3 each. And then the Titans are last at 2-4. And then the NFC really quickly in the East, we have the Eagles at 5-1, Dallas at 4-2. The Commanders are in third at 3-3, and then the Giants are 1-5. In the NFC West, you have the Niners at 5-1, Seattle at 3-2, the Rams at 3-3, and the Cardinals at 1-5. And the NFC North, you have Detroit, my team to win the division. They're 5-1. The Packers are 2-3. The Vikings are 2-4, and the Bears are 1-5. And last but not least, in the NFC South, the Bucs are 3-2. The Falcons are 3-3. The Saints are 3-4, and there's still a team that has not won a game yet. Yes, you read that correctly. The Carolina Panthers, they're 0-6. So that's that. Now let's quickly go into the finals of Week 6 really quickly. Obviously, your Raiders, James, squeaked out against my Patriots, 21-17. The other finals, the Chiefs, they beat the Broncos 19-8. The Ravens defeated the Titans 24-16 in London, I think it was.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. The Commanders defeated the Falcons 24-16. The Vikings, they won 19-13 over the Bears. The Bengals squeaked out a win over Seattle 17-13. The Browns defeated the San Francisco 49ers, the first loss to the Niners this year, 19-17. Didn't think a lot of people saw that coming, but that's why football's so great to see. The Dolphins, after being down 14-0 to the Panthers, they decided to turn on the Jets and win 42-21. The Jaguars defeated the Colts 37-20. The Colts unfortunately lost Anthony Richardson for the season in this one. Prayers to him and the NFL. I mean, he is going to be one of the best quarterbacks in the future, so that's really unfortunate. The Texans defeated the Saints 20-13. The Rams defeated the Cardinals 26-9. The Jets defeated the Eagles 20-14. The Lions defeated the Bucks 20-6. The Giants defeated the Giants 14-9. And the Cowboys defeated the Chargers 20-17. There was 2 bye teams on week 6. That was the Packers and the Steelers. So, James, before we get into our week 7 picks, and we'll see if Isaiah comes on, for those, we'll try to at least get it kind of guess really quickly. Let's get into our winners and losers from week 6. Now, the Patriots, I kind of give them a little bit of a pass, even though they still haven't been great this year. They at least were competitive in this one. So I'm not going to give them a loser in this one, and keep on telling them that they're the losers. My loser, who? Okay, and this one specifically, man, give me the Buffalo Bills. Because yes, they won the game,
Yeah.
but the Giants were completely. I mean, they had Daniel Jones was out. They had Saquon Barkley was kind of limited. They had 3 of their offensive linemen out. So this just felt like a get-right game for the Bills to really just at least score and win by double digits. And just they were out of sync for 3 quarters. They look completely. I mean, it's almost like James, and it's kind of a quick preview in terms of against my Patriots. Josh Allen really needs to figure out who this number 2 receiver is
Should be
because
Gabe Davis.
it should be Gabe Davis, right? And it should be, somebody else that could, pop up. That's why I thought maybe a guy like McCole Harmon, who the Jets moved on from, who brings a little bit of speed, guy from the Chiefs, by the way. He could have been potentially number 2, but, now they lose Damon Harris for the season, which sucks. Ed Oliver is going to be out this weekend. The Bills' defense is really going to be – they have a lot of holes, especially their running defense. You lose Matt Milano for the year, possibly.
Trey
you
White.
pretty much run on them. I mean, the Giants were within inches of pulling this game off. And, yeah.
Nice hold at the end.
Yeah, I mean, they hung on for dear life. I mean, Josh Allen, 169 yards, 19 of 30, 202 touchdowns, which is fine, but he did throw a pick. It wasn't one of his best games specifically. But outside of Stephon Diggs, he had 16 targets. I mean, yes, Stephon Diggs is an amazing talent, but it's just hard to win when you're just not, it's just feeding one guy after one guy after one guy specifically. I mean, the running game just has to really be able to be balanced enough to have that happen. Gabe Davis had 3 catches, Dawson Knox with only 3. So, yeah, I mean, I got to think of the Bills with my losers despite them winning. I really do.
Underestimating their opponent, literally taking them not serious.
Mm-hmm. Let's see.
Your
my
winner.
Other loser.
Yeah, loser.
I'll give you one more. Give me the Broncos.
Yeah.
I just think that this team is an absolute colossal mess right now. If their offense gets going, their defense just the bad. If their defense is all right, which this defense against the Chiefs, who in Arrowhead, Thursday night game, they held its ground. They held the Chiefs under 20 points. But your offense can't muster anything in this one. Russell Wilson throws for only 95 yards. That contract, I mean, that's unacceptable. It really is. So I'm going to give the losers of Week 6 to the Bills and the Broncos. Let's see, my winners on this one. Give me the Browns. They defeated the 49ers. That's obviously a tough test, and they won with a backup quarterback in P.J. Walker. P.J. Walker, I don't think played that well, but just for them to beat essentially a team that looked unstoppable for the first 5-6 weeks, and they're still a very, very good team. There was some elements in play in this one, but still, that's a massive game for the Browns, a really good game, a really good game for confidence. Another winner, pays me to say this, but give me the Jets. 2 undefeated teams went down this weekend. The Jets got 3 interceptions against Jalen Hurts, and that defense is legit. They're really, really legit. And if they didn't have a very, very good to even good defense, I don't think that this Jets team would be in the playoff picture at all.
No.
They wouldn't be in the mix. Zach Wilson, I know people like to kind of clown on him and give him a lot of crap after kind of the Cowboys game. Zach Wilson's been okay. I'm not saying that he's been, to this past game against the Eagles, he was 19 of 33, 186 yards. You didn't throw a pick. You didn't throw a
long as he
touchdown.
doesn't do that, long as he manages games, he doesn't make mistakes, just do the right thing, take what the defense gives you, that's all you can do.
Yeah. I mean, the game against Denver, I believe he did throw a pick, but, Denver, you could just run the ball. And Breece Hall had a great game. And then the game beforehand was the Chiefs game. And I mean, he really kind of had his like come out party after the awful performance against the Patriots. I feel like that's kind of what we can do at this point is, know how to beat Zach Wilson, which is just fucking embarrassing, but pardon my language. But yeah, I just think specifically the winners in this one are the two teams that won, they beat the undefeated teams. The Browns being the Niners and the Jets being the Eagles. So now I'll go to you. Who are your winners and your losers from week 6?
Losers because they lost twice in 5 days. I'm going the Saints, foreshadowing week 7, the start of week 7. Derek Carr just hasn't been looking good other from the second half of, Thursday's game against Jacksonville. But man, he's frustrated. He's checking down to Kamara too often or to a tight end on third down. Like there was this one play, it was 3rd and 20 and they needed to keep that drive alive or else Jacksonville was going to, end the game basically with their drive to score. But Jacksonville didn't do that. But where he just checked down to the tight end for like 7 yards. When you have Olave, when you have Michael Thomas, you can go to those guys. But it seems like it's not only Carr, but Chris Olave, he's been giving up on plays. There was one play especially, I think it was at the start of the 4th quarter. I think it was a 3rd down play too. The ball was thrown down the sideline about 30 yards. Olave does a stop and go. He was supposed to do a stop and go, but he literally ran and stopped. He didn't go down the sideline. And the ball was, thrown out of bounds. I don't know if he would have caught it anyway inbounds, but Carlos pissed at him for that. And then Moreau sadly had that drop that would have, brought the Saints within 1 at the end of the game. So that really hurt. The defense is keeping them in games. Jacksonville was scoring really well coming into Thursday. So the Saints, they should easily win the South, but they're having a really hard time right now. Before that, though, they lose to Houston, and they let them score whatever they wanted. They couldn't score at the end. Again, Derek Carr did not perform that well. They got to figure something out with the Saints. And, I don't know if they can make any moves. It just seems like everybody is on a 1-year deal and they're out. That's what it feels like. They got to figure something out. So that's a loser for me. And then I don't want to say the Bears because, Fields got hurt. I know he wasn't doing well in that game anyway. And I don't want to say the Niners because they were banged up. The environment, like you mentioned, the elements weren't good for their game. And the Browns played their game instead of having to keep up the score with San Francisco. So I'm not going to say them. But maybe since I'm out here and I want to differentiate from you, I want to say the Chargers because, again, on prime time, they blew the game. They lost 2017 to the Cowboys in Charger fashion. Justin Herbert threw for that pick, and that basically ended the game. It just seems like the Chargers, they find ways to lose in the worst ways. And it seemed like, hey, they should have this game. They shouldn't have Dak Prescott, perform, fairly well and still lose. There's no way you should allow that to happen if you're the Chargers. They didn't get as much as I thought they would this game. So those are my two losers. For the winners, I got to say the LA Rams. I don't think anybody thought they would be 3-3. I know everybody probably thought they would be maybe 1-5, 2-4, whatever the case is. But Stafford, they're keeping them upright for now. They have Kupp, they have Nakua, Higbee. Their defense is performing well. It's basically, Donald and others you don't really know. But their running back, Kyron Williams, who basically came out of nowhere, he's doing so well. He's picked up in so many fantasy leagues. But Cooper Kupp, 7 receptions, 48 yards, 1 touchdown. Stafford threw for 226 yards and a touchdown there. I think the Rams are kind of surprising people for now, but I know the season will get tougher. But I think them winning as many as they have now, I think that's kind of shocked people. I do want to say Detroit, they just kept it going on the road. They're undefeated on the road this year, so that's really good. Maybe Washington, just taking advantage of Ritter's mistakes. I think that was really good. I don't want to say the Bengals are a winner just because they held on against Seattle. I thought they were going to go out and score more. But my other winner probably is Jacksonville because they're on the right track along with Houston, where both are really thriving and doing well. So those are my winners and losers.
All right. With that being said, we got through our winners and losers from this past week. Now let's get into our week 7 picks. So we'll see in terms of Isaiah comes back on, but obviously we'll get started without him. So with that being said, James, like you mentioned, the Jaguars defeated the Saints on Thursday Night Football, 31-24. The Jaguars go to 5-2. The Saints go to 3-4. Trevor Lawrence, 20-29. He was questionable coming into this game, but looked like he played pretty well. Like I said, I didn't really get the chance to watch a lot of it. Travis Etienne has really played well in the last couple of weeks. I remember he balled out against the Bills. In the last couple of weeks, he's just really coming into his own for sure. Christian Kirk has been a really great threat for Lawrence the last couple of years with the touchdown catch at the end of that game there. Derek Carr, typical Derek Carr type game. A lot of yard passes with about a pick and a touchdown. It's pretty much what you get out of Derek Carr. You probably know that from a Raider fan perspective for many years. So he went 301, which you think, it's not too bad. But only one touchdown, one pick. Now, he did throw a pretty good pass at the end to Foster Moreau. I mean, that's a ball you just have to catch if you're the Saints. So they had chances, but, just didn't happen. So let's get into the first one, James. Your Oakland Raiders. Wow. I'm off to a great start. Your Las Vegas Raiders are going to Chicago to take on the Bears. The Bears are 1-5. James, you're now going to be facing back-to-back 1-5 teams. Crazy enough. So maybe that can get you guys another win here. Now, in this game specifically, Jimmy G is out. Remember last week he got hurt. And the Bears are going to be without Justin Fields. So it's going to be a game of the backups. You have more than likely either Brian Hoyer and O'Connell going against the Bears quarterbacks.
Brian Hoyer will start.
Brian Hoyer will start. Okay. Thank you for letting me know that. And then you'll have either Tyson Badgett. I think that's his last name.
He was in Division 3, I think, in December last year. Or Division 2 or something like that. That dude came out of nowhere last week when Fields got hurt. I was like, who the hell is that guy?
And then you have Nate Peterman, too. So, I mean, you just don't know, really, because it's a game of backup quarterbacks. You can't really, pick from there. But I will pick your Raiders, James. I just think because of the talent specifically. And I think that the Raiders will find a way to pull this one out. So, who do you got?
Yeah, this is definitely a game you can yawn to and take a nap if you're a Bear fan. 3-3 Raiders, 1-5 Bears. Just don't lose to a 1-5 team. The Raiders suck on the road. I mean, they really suck on the road. They can't win on the road. I'm hoping they get their running game in control with Josh Jacobs. He needs to have a big day. I don't think the weather will be a factor. It'll be like high 50s. No rain or sleet or snow or whatever. I'm hoping for a big running game, and then the defense to continue to get to the quarterback, whomever it may be. I want Max Crosby to continue to exploit offensive lines, get some interceptions. I want to see some picks, some more picks. Go for some fumbles. You expect Tyson Bennett to just have some dump offs, Badgett, not to go downfield too much. I know their running game is hurt too for Chicago, so they're kind of banged up as well. Herbert's been out, their other running back has been out. So it's going to be a really low-scoring game. I'm just hoping that the Raiders win. It's going to be an ugly game. I'm going to go with the Raiders, though.
The 3-2 Cleveland Browns take on the 3-3 Colts at Lucas Oil Stadium. The Browns are obviously coming off that massive win against the San Francisco 49ers. The Colts are coming off of a loss to the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Browns are 3.5 favorite right now. Deshaun Watson is questionable, but I haven't been a fan of the way that Deshaun's playing all year. PJ Walker, I think more than likely PJ Walker is going to get a decent amount of those reps on Sunday. The Colts obviously are going to be riding out Gardner Minshew for the rest of the year because, like I said, Anthony Richards is going to be out for the remainder of the season, which is obviously very unfortunate. These two teams I feel like are very similar in a way. Two teams that have some complementary pieces offensively, defensively. Coaches. You got Stefanski. You've got Shane Steichen. So I'm going to go Colts here. I know that the Browns have a pretty good defense, but I do think that I'm really worried about the Browns quarterback situation. I know that Gardner Minshew's obviously had his moments where 1 week it's really bad, 1 week it's good. I'm thinking he's going to have a good one this week. And I think Jonathan Taylor, who I know that's kind of had a slow start since coming back, I think that he is bound to have a big game. So I'm going to go with the Colts here, like 20-17.
I'm really hoping they get Jonathan Taylor going. I mean, I think that's the only way they have a chance to win this game. You can't rely on Gardner Minshew. He had, 3 picks, I think, last week against the Jaguars.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the only way the Colts win. But I know the Browns, they'll be without their linebacker, Taki, unfortunately. But Deshaun Watson, it was funny to read this. He was looking good. He was throwing the ball downfield 30 yards in practice. He's questionable despite looking good in practice. It's kind of a mystery now what's going on with the coach and the training staff, and if Watson really wants to play. It's the weirdest thing. And I know he's owed a lot of money in the following years coming up on his big contract. But, man, it's a really ugly sight on a 3-3 team that looks like they can do anything if they beat the 49ers. But I'm going to go with the Browns in hopes they don't let me down. I want to see Hunt run well, Cooper get the ball more often, and Njoku, I don't know if he'll be back as well. But, I want Jonathan Taylor to run. But it's going to come down to field goals in this game. I think Cleveland will win, though.
All right. Now we got another 1 o'clock game on CBS. The Washington Commanders, 3-3, will travel to MetLife Stadium to take on the 1-5 Giants. Commanders are coming off of a very good win in Atlanta against the Falcons. Desmond Ritter obviously was undefeated at home beforehand, but I think that the Commanders are just one of those teams that a lot of people don't talk about. And I think that they've had their moments, and I think Sam Howell. I mean, you look at Sam Howell this year, James. He has 9 touchdown passes. He's only out of the last 3 weeks, he's only thrown 1 pick, so I don't want to jinx anything. I will say though that he has taken a ton of sacks.
Yeah.
I mean, in the last 3 weeks, they've had 15 sacks on him. So that's just one thing that you got to really worry about. That the offensive line for the Commanders is something that's very worrisome. But they have a ton of weapons around them. They have Curtis Samuel. They got Brian Robinson. They got Terry McLaurin, obviously, Logan Thomas. And the Giants they're a mess. They're a massive mess right now. I can't really, just trust them. Saquon Barkley, I know he wants to stick around there, but their offensive line's a mess. They have a lot of issues. I'm going to go Commanders here. They're a 3-point favorite right now, but I think that if you can at least put up about, a good 20
16,
points. 16 to 20 points, especially if Tyrod Taylor starts another week. I know Daniel Jones, I believe, is questionable, but you just don't know how effective he's going to be anyway. I'm going to go Commanders here.
Me too. I was looking at the New York Giants injury report. Man, they have all 5 offensive linemen on the list. 4 did not practice. 1 was limited on Wednesday. Same thing on Thursday, but man, it's a laundry list of people out for them, or questionable, or out. For the Commanders, Sweat I think has a finger issue. I know someone had Benjamin St. Just had a hand issue as well. I think Sweat had something, or no, was it the center? Somebody had a thumb injury that could be very tough when you're in a 3-point stance. I think it was Sweat, to be honest. Yeah, it was Sweat. Yeah. So we'll see how that affects them if they have to bandage that up. He really does well up front. I know Saquon Barkley doesn't want to be traded, but we'll see what happens. But I'm going to go with the Commanders, same score. I think the Commanders win ugly. Daniel Jones, I know, is questionable, but I don't think you rush him back, honestly, in this game.
All right. The Atlanta Falcons at 3-3. The Falcons are coming off of a loss against the Commanders. They're going to Tampa to take on the Buccaneers, who are 3-2. They're coming off of a loss against the Detroit Lions. This game is kind of tough because it's two inconsistent quarterbacks. I feel like Baker Mayfield's kind of fallen down a little bit to earth the last couple of weeks. Yes, kind of the two bad games that he's had against were really good teams. Detroit, good defense, and the Eagles, good defense. The Falcons could be a team where I feel maybe that he can be able to potentially have a bounce back week. And I'm not a big Desmond Ritter guy. I'm just not. I'm really not. So, him in Tampa Bay, mid-October. I think that the Bucs will do enough in this one. Right now that they're 2.5 favorite. I think it's going to be probably within a touchdown. I think it's going to be like a 27-20 type of a game here. I'm going to go with the Bucs.
Okay, Vita Vea, who's having a fantastic year up front on the defensive line for the Bucs. He's out for the game. We know how the Falcons want to run the ball well. They should really pound the rock in this game. If you're the Falcons, there, yeah. If you're the Bucs and if you're Baker Mayfield, you got to get back to whatever you were doing before the bye. As I mentioned, the bye week wasn't kind to them, being young and inexperienced like they are. They did look good last week with those orange uniforms, but I'm going to go with the Falcons, just hoping that they run the ball well with their 3 headsmen there. Ritter just doesn't make mistakes. I mean, this game may come down to whoever has the most interceptions, honestly. It really may come down to that, and I'm hoping Ritter just, he grows up a bit. And Mayfield, he might take some shots with Evans and Godwin. Maybe the Falcons defense comes up big late. I'm going to go with the Falcons.
All right, Welcome Isaiah back on. We got through our winners and losers. And obviously we got through a couple of the first 1 o'clock games here. So I can, message you kind of out there in terms of the games that we got through. But with that being said, now let's get to my game specific. And Isaiah, we'll start with you. The Buffalo Bills are going to New England to take on the Patriots. Patriots are 1-5. Obviously a ton of questions with my franchise. There was some that you texted me out there about Bill Belichick's future, which we'll probably get into in a little bit after our picks. There's just a lot of turmoil. More likely than not, there's going to be a lot of key guys that are probably going to get traded for the Patriots. Some key guys to take a look at specifically. But Buffalo, they've had their own question marks too. They scored 14 points against the Giants last week. But with that being said, I think this is the Bills get right game. I'm just not a big believer in my Patriots at all this season. I've heard a lot of reports already that they're focused on already to next year. But just maybe that they play with some pride. Maybe the Patriots play a little bit of pride going back home against division foe. So who do you have in this one, Isaiah? And yeah.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's good to see you guys again. Before I get into my pick, I just want to apologize to our viewers out there. When I was giving my take on the Rangers, there was just a constant buzzing sound, so I apologize for that off my end. I was getting like a spam call throughout the entire time, so I don't know what was going on, but just wanted to put that out there. But about the picks, Bills versus Patriots. Believe it or not, I think this is going to be a lot closer than a lot of people expect. Because the Patriots have actually played the Bills and Josh Allen very tough in the past, and it hasn't been a blowout. And Bill Belichick defenses have typically been able to kind of handle Josh Allen and kind of limit him. So I do think that it's going to be a lot closer than a lot of people expect. Having said that, though, give me the Bills to win this game, just because I just don't see them having the firepower to be able to keep up with that Bills offense. I do think the Bills will be able to score not a lot, but score a little bit more than the Patriots would like them to. So I'm gonna go Buffalo. I'm gonna go like 31 to. I'm gonna go 31 to 13.
Okay. What about you, James?
Man, I was looking at the injury report, and it looks like New England has 16 players who are questionable in this game. I mean, they're really, really banged up.
Yep.
I always look up, the injury reports, and whenever I try to handicap these games. But man, I think the Bills are going to win this, but it's going to be pretty ugly. Unless the Bills just go out and just fire away. In that case, it would be a blowout. We'll find out who their second receiver is going to be.
Right.
I'm hoping that Dalton Kincaid can play. I know he was out last week. I hope if you're the Bills, you just hope everybody is healthy in this case, and then you just air the ball out and then mix it up with the running game in the second half, and you go away with a blowout. That's the best hope for the Bills. For the Patriots, you're just trying to stay in the game like you did with the Raiders, but you're facing a team with the Bills that, man, they're helter-skelter where they can be really good or they could be really bad like they were last week, and you're just hoping for the bad team that can't score as much. But I'm going to go with Buffalo.
All right. Now the last 1 o'clock game of the slate, the Detroit Lions against the Baltimore Ravens. Now this, I think personally, is going to be a great game. I think that there's a lot of juice and a lot of stake in this one. The Lions obviously been the talk of the town, I feel like, in the NFL. Just a really fun team. Jared Goff's playing fantastic football. Just really finding his own type of groove, his own comfort level now there with his new team. They're coming off of a win against the Buccaneers. The Ravens are coming off of a win against the Tennessee Titans. The two teams coming off of a win. That being said, I'm going to go with the Detroit Lions. I think that they continue this hot streak here. The Ravens right now are a 3-point favorite. I think that the Lions are going to win in an upset special, as I call it on my other show here. So I think that they're going to win +3 instead of -3. So I think that the Lions are going to win. I think it's going to be a close game, though. I think it's going to be like 27-24. I think it comes down to the final drive in this one. So, yeah, give me the Lions to win this one in a close throwing game. What about you, James? Who do we have in the Lions and the Ravens?
Sam Laporta and Gibbs should be back for the Lions. I know Laporta did play, I should say, but he wasn't as effective. Jared Goff's been really good on the road. So I'm going to go with the Lions. Ravens are winning, but, man, they're relying too much on Jackson and running. Their defense is not as strong as it used to be. That's really the issue right there. It feels like they escaped London with that win. The Titans possibly, again, could have tied it there. But, yeah, I'm going to go with Detroit. I think they keep it going.
All right. And what about you, Isaiah? Who do you have in the Lions and Ravens game?
Wow. I think this is going to be one of the better games of this week. I'm going to use my trademark statement. Give me Detroit. Give me Detroit to win this game. They're more of a complete team than the Ravens right now. Although the Ravens defense is very good, but this game, I looked at the weather. It's supposed to be raining in Baltimore, so that I think should affect a lot of the play in this game. But the Lions are the running. They love to run the football, right, and get messy with their offensive line. So I think it plays to the Lions' favor. Give me Detroit to win it. I think it's going to be defense and a lot of running. So I'm going to go with a lower scoring game. I'm going to go like 17-13 Detroit.
Okay. All right, now we get into the 405 and 425 slot games. There's only 2 405 games, and there's only 2 425 games. So that's that. So the 3-2 Pittsburgh Steelers are coming off of a win against the Ravens a couple weeks ago. They were on bye last week. The Rams are coming off of a win last week against the Cardinals. Give me the Rams. I really like the Rams, the way that they've been playing this year. A little bit of a surprise, to be honest. I remember before the season, I thought that they were going to be more rebuilding. I thought kind of their window was kind of starting to crumble a little bit. I had Aaron Donald getting traded. Yeah. I gave a lot of credit to Sean McVay and that team. I really do. They've really played hard. I mean, Cooper Kupp coming back obviously is massive. But they've had some of their young receivers step up. Tutu Atwell, and the other guy, I forgot his last name. But they've been using him a lot as well. But yeah, give me the Rams. I think it's gonna be a close game. Puka. That's the
Puka
that's
Nacua.
the
I'm sorry.
Puka Nacua. Yeah. I was trying to remember his name, but he's been balling this year for the Rams. Yeah, give me the Rams. The Rams right now are a 3-point favorite. So yeah, I think that they're gonna win like 21 to 17. 21 to 18 actually. Yeah, 21 to 18. What about you, Isaiah?
What was the matchup, by the way? I was away from my phone for a little bit.
No, you're good. Steelers Rams.
Ooh, oh man. 2 bad offenses. Rams have a little bit better talent on offense, led by Matt Stafford. Defense, the Rams defense has slipped a little bit. Steelers defense is pretty good. I'm gonna go with is it in Pittsburgh or is it in LA?
It's in LA.
Wow. And is Kenny Pickett playing in this game? I think he is, right?
Yeah,
he's playing.
Sure.
He's playing.
Okay. Because if he's out,
he was
that's
hurt.
a big blow. Give me the Rams. I don't trust the Steelers' offense. I think the Rams' offense definitely a lot better with McVay. But I think it's gonna be a close one though between these two teams. But give me the Rams. They have better firepower with Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua and Matthew Stafford. I'm gonna go Rams. I'm gonna go Rams 20-13.
And what about you, James?
Kyren Williams, who I just mentioned with the Rams winning last week, he's out for this game. He ran very well. It's going to be a very, very bad thing for the Rams offense. They're just going to have to run it as much as they can, or throw it as much as they can, which isn't too much of a problem. The Steelers have given up a lot of points this year, which is un-Steeler-like. Fairmuth will be out for him. They're tight end for Pittsburgh. The crowd will be in their favor, though. It's going to be a lot of black and gold at SoFi in Inglewood on Sunday. It's going to be a Steeler home game, no doubt about it. But yeah, that just hurts for the Rams. The running game is gone now, basically without Williams. So they're going to have to air it out again. But man, I don't trust the Steeler defense to score at all. It's going to be a way where the Steelers defense has to score. It really has to be that way. I think the Rams just score a little bit more than the Steelers in this game. I'm gonna go with the Steelers, or excuse me, with the Rams in this game. It's gonna be kind of like 2017, 2016, something like that. I think some clutch field goals down the end wins it for the Rams. I think it's Matt Gay kicking for the Rams, but I think he's gonna have some clutch field goals to hold the lead. So I'm going to LA.
All right, we go to Seattle. The 1-5 Arizona Cardinals. They're going to take on the Seattle Seahawks. The Cardinals are coming off of a loss where they only scored 9 points last week. They kind of fell back to earth a little bit with Josh Dobbs on offense. The Seahawks, they're coming off of a loss against the Cincinnati Bengals. So two teams coming off of losses. But I think that the Seahawks are playing I think, it's in Seattle, 405. Their defense is pretty solid. And the Cardinals team just can't finish games well. They just can't. They're able to kind of hang around a little bit, but they just don't finish games well. They've allowed 27 points specifically per game. So I'm going to go with Seattle here. I feel like that the Seahawks, Arizona going into that environment is just not going to bode well for them. So give me Seattle. Who do you have, James?
Okay, so DK Metcalf will be game time decision. He hurt his hip, and then he didn't fare well. Let's just say against the Bengals there. So they're kind of banged up. The Seahawks, they'll win this game, but it won't be easy at all. I mean, nothing is for Seattle. Geno Smith has to play better, man. Charbonnet might be out for him. We'll see how that goes. But I'm going to go with Seattle. I just feel like they're going to end up winning this game. It's going to be very, very – I think it's going to be a very ugly game. Man, Arizona, you feel like they're in games except last week, of course. They're nice little run where they're competitive. That's all gone now. But the Seahawks might bring them back in. But they'll get some clutch turnovers. It seems late. So I'm going to go with Seattle. But if they lose and Geno Smith does really bad, there's going to be some boos. And you're going to look at the Seahawks and just say, should we blow this damn thing up? Because we don't know what the hell is going on here. We don't know what we really have. So I'm going to go Seattle, but they better not let me down.
Who do you have, Isaiah, for this game?
James, I hate to tell you, buddy, but they are going to let you down. Give me the Arizona Cardinals to go into Seattle and pull the upset. I haven't bought Seattle all season long, and I don't intend to. The Seahawks, they are a fluky team. They always play down a competition. Like if the team is bad, they always play down to them. And Arizona has always gone up to Seattle and really hung with the Seahawks and have played the Seahawks very tough. In the Pete Carroll era. So I think this continues. Jonathan Gannon going up against Pete Carroll in that offense. I think that defense for Arizona will be able to shut down that Seahawks offense. Remember, Jonathan Gannon has had success against Geno Smith in the past, so I think that continues. And Arizona will ride turnovers, and they will ride the running game to that victory, because remember, Seattle's defense, they are not good against the run. So, and Arizona, they love to pound the football with James Conner, Joshua Dobbs on the bootlegs. I think that's going to create havoc for Seattle's defense, and I just think Arizona goes in there, pulls the upset, and wins that game by a field goal.
Okay. The Green Bay Packers will be traveling to Denver to take on the Denver Broncos. The Packers are coming off of a loss against the Raiders. The Broncos are coming off a loss against the Chiefs. That being said, give me the Packers. The Broncos specifically, I just can't trust them. It's 1 week where they can't. Their offense can't be going, and the defense, can't be going when their offense is doing well. So they can't put a great product together at all. And I think that the Packers, they can run the football. AJ Dillon, Aaron Jones, whoever it is. Uh, so yeah, give me the Packers. I think Christian Watson's back too. Romeo Dobbs there. I think Jordan Love will respond in this game. I know that he's had his struggles the last couple weeks here. But yeah, give me the Packers. I think it's gonna be a low scoring game though. What about you, Isaiah?
Believe it or not, I'm gonna pick Denver. This is one of those games where we always get this all the time in the NFL, where you think that it's gonna be a mismatch, but it ends up being an upset. And this is in Denver. The Denver Broncos are the most confusing team in the NFL. They always play good against teams that they shouldn't beat, and then they play like crap against teams that they should beat, like the New York Jets, where they can't score any points. Having said that, I think that the Packers, they're also a very confusing team where they always, against teams that they shouldn't beat, they play great. Against teams that they should beat, they play like crap. So against the Raiders, I mean, James's Raiders, they were supposed to lose that game, and Jordan Love goes into Vegas and throws 3 INTs and looks like Nathan Peterman out there. Like, I don't know what to make of the Green Bay Packers and Jordan Love. I know when we did our preview show, I said that the Green Bay Packers are going to win the division. The Green Bay Packers, Jordan Love is going to look like a superstar, and he's looked like a superstar, looked like the superstar throwing picks. So I don't know, man. Like, I'm confused by both teams. I don't know. I just think that Denver's going to surprise a lot of people. I know they're embarrassed about their play on offense and defense, and Jordan Love just has looked confused a lot as of late. So I'm gonna go with Denver. I think that Denver wins this game. I don't think we see a lot of defense in this game. I think it's going to be a lot of offense, and I think Russell Wilson will thrive against this Packer defense, who has not been great as of late.
Okay. What about you, James? Packers and Broncos.
Okay, first of all, let me give a shout out to GPS, the Grassi Perner Show on YouTube. They're streamers that stream the Packers and the Bronco games, and they're playing each other. So this is a clash of those YouTubers on Sunday. So I'm going to definitely be listening to that while watching Red Zone or the Ram game on Sunday afternoon. So that's going to be a fun head-to-head matchup. Funner, that's not a word, but I'm going to say it. Better than the actual game that will happen in Denver. The stream will be. I'm kind of shocked they're not going to the game, but I think they're going to stream and have their best stream ever. So shout out to both channels. That's Good Sports and then Packcast by Tom Grassi. So now we have to talk about the game. The Packers, they're coming off a bye. It doesn't seem like it with their injury report. Basically, all their defensive stars are on the injury report, and basically all of them are in limited practice. You got Jazair Alexander, Devondre Campbell, Savage, Stokes, Quay Walker, and Watt. Those are all key players for their defense, who we'll find out tomorrow if they're questionable or not. And then Aaron Jones, will he come back again? We'll wonder about that. Elgin Jenkins is important on that offensive line. He's also questionable. So they have a lot of questions coming into this game. But again, I think it comes down, like Isaiah mentioned, to the quarterbacks. Who will throw the most picks? Who will put their team in the worst positions at the wrong time? Jordan Love, again, maybe he learned something from the game against the Raiders. Don't do what I just did. Russell Wilson, try to score more points. If you have to do it with your damn legs. The Packer defense is kind of limited right now, like I mentioned with the injury report. I want to see Jared Judy thrive. I want to see him get traded out to a better place, but maybe no one wants him. Shout out Steve Smith. But man, you have pieces there for Denver to win this game, but both teams, it just seems like, get in their own way when it comes to that. I don't even know who to pick, honestly, here. I want to say Denver just because, hey, do you trust Jordan Love? And maybe you do this game. So I'm going to go Green Bay, actually. I'm going to go with the Packers. Maybe they're better at Christian Watson. They can exploit that Denver defense that eventually they're going to just give up a lot of points anyway. But man, the way that both teams are scoring though, this might be a field goal game. The way it's going to go, I'm gonna go the Packers.
All right, this should be a really fun one at 425. You got two very talented quarterbacks going at it. AFC West showdown. The Los Angeles Chargers going to Arrowhead to take on the Kansas City Chiefs. The Chargers are obviously coming off of a really tough loss against the Cowboys. The Chiefs are coming off of a win against the Broncos. The Chiefs right now are a 5.5 favorite. They just got McCall Hardman. They just signed him, so I think that's going to help out their receiving core. Isaiah Pacheco, obviously, there. Give me the Chiefs. I don't trust the coaching for the Chargers at all, and I don't trust the late game execution as it was pretty much shown on point on Monday against the Cowboys. So I know that the Chiefs have some really deficiencies on their defense, but I think that they're going to be finding a way specifically to win this one. Give me the Chiefs here. 27-16. What about you, Isaiah?
Give me the Chargers, fellas. This is gonna be a high scoring game. It's gonna be a fun game. Two great offenses going at it. I think it's gonna be kind of like the Dolphins Chargers game to open the season. And the Chiefs, they've struggled historically against the Chargers with Mahomes. I don't know why they've done that, but whenever the Chiefs go to LA to play the Chargers, they've struggled in the past. So I'm going to go with the Chargers. I think this is going to be a great offensive fire fest between two teams that have great firepower on both sides. And, you have Andy Reid. Andy Reid, Brandon Staley, that's probably like the biggest coaching mismatch of the year.
That's not my Chiefs to win.
Yeah, but I don't know. I just think I don't trust the Chiefs defense. I don't trust the Chargers defense. I think it's a shootout between both teams. And give me the Chargers by a field goal. I think it's going to be a game-winning walk-off field goal. And this time the Chargers are actually going to make the field goal instead of like boinking it like they always do.
All right. That's a good pick. What about you, James?
Chargers maybe without some defensive stalwarts, Darren James Jr. and Joey Bosa, maybe. So that'll play big for getting to the ball and getting to Mahomes, which no one really does anyway. Right. I think the Chiefs win this game. They score more than the Chargers, of course, but I think it comes down to a really close game. It seems like every time I think it was week 2, the debut last year, of Thursday Night Football. It came down to the last, drive for the Chargers, and the Chiefs held. So maybe we see a repeat of that. But I'm going to go with the Chiefs. I think they score a little bit more than the Chargers this week.
All right. Now, guys, the Sunday night game, which could be potentially the game of the weekend. It could potentially be a potential Super Bowl matchup that we might see, possibly. We'll see. And yes, there is a game for the Rangers-Astros, Game 6, right on the same time. So you want to talk about having a split screen between these two games? Your Sunday night is going to be awesome because Sunday Night Football, guys, we have the 5-1 Miami Dolphins taking on the 5-1 Philadelphia Eagles. And you're going to also be able to watch Game 6 Rangers-Astros. Talk about a flip side from this past Sunday when you had the Giants and Bills, which, by the way, was a good game. It was a lot more closer than I thought, but, we were joking about it in terms of, watch the baseball instead. That's obviously more important. Now you're going to be able to watch a split screen between these two ones because this is going to be a fun one Sunday night for sure. Oh, man. Eagles are coming off a tough loss against the Jets. The Dolphins are coming off of a blowout against the Panthers. Not surprised about that. Oh, man. Give me the Eagles. I know Jalen Hurts hasn't been great the last couple weeks, but something about that Dolphins defense. I just don't know specifically what it is. Speaking of the Eagles, they did sign Julio Jones this week. I don't know if he's gonna be in their. I don't know if he's gonna be in their game plan, but I saw some Eagle fans, reacting about that in terms of we got Julio Jones as our receiver 3. They did have to put on Quez Watkins on the IR, so maybe that could have been the reason.
Mm-hmm.
But imagine if Julio Jones actually gave him something. You would have a trio of AJ Brown, Devontae Smith, and potentially a rejuvenated Julio Jones. I mean, that would be absolutely scary for any defense specifically. But yeah, Jalen Hurts has just been very erratic as of late. It's going to come down to the turnover battle. I mean, Tua, I guess was a little bit better last week, but he had the Panthers. I wasn't really surprised about that. But this is going to be high scoring. I think. Oh man. Give me the Eagles 37-34. I'm going to go with that score. I think it's just going to be no defense whatsoever. I think it's just going to be a lot of scoring left and right. So, yeah, I think that the Eagles have a big explosion offensively after last week. The Jets are just doing a really good job handling all these explosive offenses to less points than usual, and give a lot of credit to their overall scheme. Give me the Eagles here over the Dolphins, and which should be an epic Sunday night matchup and potentially the game of the weekend, which I think it will be a game of the weekend on paper here. What about you, James?
Okay, so Miami, I know Jalen Ramsey wanted to play, but McDaniel said, no, you're not ready yet. Remember, you're supposed to come back in December, not right away in October like this. The reason I think it's high scoring, like you said, and I agree with, Xavier Howard has a groin issue. He will play, but how effective will he be? That's the key right there in the secondary for Miami. For Philadelphia, Reed Blankenship is out, the safety, and Roby is out. So right there, you have both secondaries banged up. That means both teams are going to air it out, but you do have Mostert, who will run well, despite that Philly defense up front. They eventually did get some players back, but they're not at full strength. So it's going to be a lot of fun. I think Miami wins this shootout. I'm going with kind of your score around there, maybe a point more. I don't know, but I'm going to go with Miami winning this game. And this will be, I think, to counter what Colin Cowherd said, where, Miami's been bullying their schedule, basically, where they've only played the Giants. They've only played the Panthers. They've had cupcake games. Now you get the real test against Philadelphia, the reigning NFC champions. So this game, I think, we'll learn a lot for both teams. But I'm going to go with Miami.
What about you, Isaiah? Who do you have in this Sunday night matchup? Do we have Isaiah?
Sorry, I thought I pressed the unmute button, but I guess my fingers skimmed over and didn't press it. But it's just been one of those days, fellas. It's been one of those days where everything has just pretty much gone wrong. But I'm gonna, me and James were talking about this game, I think yesterday off the air, and we were both saying, this is gonna be such a great weekend in sports because you got college football tomorrow, you got USC versus Utah. I know during that game you have a bunch of other great college football games going on, but also you have Phillies D-backs game 5, very pivotal game 5 going on at the same time. And then Sunday you have the Dolphins versus the Eagles, which is going to be a great game. And then you have Rangers and Astros game 6. So I'm like, what should I watch, man? Like, it's going to be crazy as a sports fan because you're like, man, if I only have one.
October Madness.
It is.
That's October what you got to say. Because people want to say March Madness, but it's October Madness. So, I typically March Madness, I have one TV on, I have a computer on. You're just going to have to kind of figure it out.
Just wait till next Thursday when you have Thursday night football, opening night of the NBA, as well as game 1 of the World Series next week. So good luck with that, guys. Good luck with that.
Oh, man.
But going back to the game, I'm going to go with the Dolphins. I think they have the more explosive offense in the Eagles. I don't really trust Jalen Hurts. He's been exposed a lot this season as a passer. I think the Dolphins with Bradley Chubb will be able to get to him. Here's one thing that you guys are forgetting. Vic Fangio, who is now their defensive coordinator, actually worked with the Eagles last year as a consultant. And he was with the Eagles, and he was at a lot of their practices, so he knows Jalen Hurts through and through, and he knows his weaknesses, and he's going to formulate a game plan that's going to stop Jalen Hurts. Because if there's one defensive coordinator that can just shut down an opposing team's high-scoring offense, it's Vic Fangio, and he's one of the best in the game. So give me the Dolphins. I think that the Dolphins win this game. I don't think the Eagles will be able to stop the Dolphins' offense, and I just think that Jalen Hurts, they're going to do the same thing the Jets did, make him comfortable, take away his receivers, stop the run, make Jalen throw it, and I just think Jalen's going to end up throwing a couple of interceptions in this game like he did against the Jets. So give me the Dolphins. I'm going to go with 38-20.
Oh, wow. So you're going a little bit more double score.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. And now to conclude off this Week 7 slate, we got the Niners. Isaiah, your team. They're coming off of their tough loss against the Browns, which you can talk about if you want to, by the way, after we get into the game specifically. They're going to take on Steven's team. Steven, if you're watching, shout out. Go Buckeyes, by the way, against Penn State. They're taking on Steven's Vikings at 2-4. The Vikings are coming off of a win against the Bears. It's a Monday night game, 8:15 ABC. We'll see how much I'll be watching it, depending on if there's going to be Game 7 for baseball, but I'll still watch it regardless. Give me the Niners. I think that the Niners respond. I'm not a big believer in this Vikings team at all. I remember, Isaiah, you mentioned about the Bears off the air, the video about the Vikings only scoring 19 points against the Bears or something like that. It's true. I mean, their whole entire team, it's relied on Justin Jefferson. He's out for this game specifically, so the Niners defense can scheme up a lot of their players. Probably their best offensive weapon at this point is TJ Hawkinson. He's a good tight end, but, the Vikings are just a mess. Their defense obviously is really, fraudulent. And I just think that they're in a rebuilding state right now, kind of compared to a lot of these other bottom dwelling teams. So give me the Niners here. I think Brock has 2 touchdowns in this one. I think that McCaffrey has a touchdown if he plays. I know that there's some guys potentially questionable, and James, obviously, you're kind of the depth chart man. I guess you could say the injury report guy, I guess you want to say. So I would be curious in terms of what the Niners right now have. But regardless, whoever's in and whoever's out, give me the Niners here. I'm going to go 27-10 in this one. So how about you, Isaiah? Your Niners and Vikings.
I got to have a talk with Roger Goodell and Rob Manfred before this game, because I swear both of them hate me, because it's like you got 2 big games that I'm going to be fully invested in happening at the same time, and both of them are going to be on local TV. Are you kidding me, man? Like, oh my God. Niners, Vikings, and Rangers, Astros Game 7 with my bet on the line.
Pray for you.
Oh, good God. If that happens, we might have to do a watch party. But
we definitely will.
Yeah, I completely agree. I'm gonna go with the Niners. The Vikings have looked really bad without Justin Jefferson. I mean, their offense. You're going into Soldier Field against the Bears defense, one of the worst defenses in the NFL, and you struggle to even put up 20 points. I mean, how embarrassing for the Minnesota Vikings. Like, everybody's been torching the Bears all season long. The Broncos, the Denver Broncos, who have struggled to even score 10 points this season, put up like 20 plus against the Bears. I believe they put up 28 against the Bears, which was the most that they put up this entire season. The Bears make teams look way better than they are. Like, you could put Alabama or Tennessee in the NFL and play the Bears, and they'll probably score a couple of touchdowns because of how bad this Bears defense is. So for the Vikings to only put up 19, that's very, very alarming. That's not good at all. The Niners have one of the best defenses in the NFL. They're going to be hungry. They're going to be pissed coming into this game because of what happened last week against the Cleveland Browns, in which, I mean, it was a mess of a game. It was raining, a lot of penalties. It was just very messy, but I expect the defense to come out. I expect the defense to get a couple of turnovers in this game. Plus, Kyle Shanahan knows Kirk Cousins, so he knows what's Kirk Cousins' biggest weakness, how to attack him, how to make him throw a couple of interceptions. So he's going to give the defense a lot of ideas. And then on offense, the Vikings defense is the perfect bounce back the team to play because their defense is bad, and for Brock Purdy, who needs a bounce back, especially for his confidence, that's a perfect team to play. I heard McCaffrey should be available to play in that game. If he's back, that's really, really good for the Niners. I think Purdy has a bounce back game. I think that Ayuk has a really good game. Watch out for George Kittle. He hasn't really had a lot of good games this season. He's had one great game, but that was it. I think he explodes in this game, especially with Deebo Samuel most likely out for this game.
Do the Vikings also struggle too against covering tight ends, Isaiah?
I believe so. I believe they do.
Or is it just me?
Yeah.
I always feel like across the middle of the field is where they're really massively exposed.
Yeah, they're very vulnerable across the middle, exactly. So I do think with Ayuk and Kittle, I think they are the perfect candidates to have really good games because they both love going across the middle. The Vikings linebackers are not that athletic. They're very old. So Kittle against those linebackers, good luck. So I'm gonna go with the Niners, and I think the Niners win by more than 14 points.
Well, before I get into James about this game, Isaiah, hopefully that the Niners can be able to do you a favor and kind of get this way early, get the score out early on so you don't have to worry about them the second half.
Hope not.
I'll go to you, James. Yeah.
Okay, so I know Trent Williams, he's walking in a cast or not really walking well. So that's going to be important for the left side of the line for Purdy. I know McCaffrey wants to play, and Samuel, again, he's out, like Isaiah mentioned, right? Justin Jefferson, of course, is out. James, so that means what?
James, I hate to cut you off, but Samuel is not officially out yet, but more than likely, because he hasn't practiced the first 2 days, and more than likely he will be out.
Yeah, I'm just thinking he'll be out because that's one injury you don't want to linger. For the Vikings, though, they have some young guys on the defense along with Danielle Hunter. Hopefully they can get to Brock Purdy. See what the Browns did and just try to kind of repeat that. Hopefully they've done their schooling there. Kirk Cousins in primetime is in a really good matchup. Okay, so you say that, but, man, I think it comes down to Jordan Addison. This is his time. Remember when he got drafted? He had the purple suit, and he was all flashy and everything, saying he's going to fit into the NFL so well. He hasn't done anything really out of USC, and this has to be the game where he steps up, he goes across the middle, he goes on a go route. He's got to get a couple of touchdowns here. This is the game where he has to make a statement. I'm hoping for Jordan Addison. If Hawkinson as well, KJ Osborne, he's just there. He's just there right now. But he's one guy you used to rely on third downs, but really that's not really happening right now. I expect the 49er defense, as full strength as they are. I'm gonna go with the Niners. It's gonna be I don't think it. I hope it's one of those shootouts, but I don't think it will be. You mentioned, Game 7 maybe of the ALCS. I'm hoping that's on, so I don't really have to pay attention too much to this 49er game. Yeah, so I'm going to go San Francisco.
And, who would not want a Game 7 for a trip to the World Series? I mean, that's where you play for. Now, Isaiah, I know that you wanted to kind of talk about the Bill Belichick situation. I think we're going to say that for next show because I do obviously want to get into a little bit of basketball before we probably call it an evening, at least for myself personally. But I do want to get into something really quickly that was football related as well. And Isaiah, in terms of winners and losers, if you want to say those for the final thoughts, you can as well. With the trade deadline coming up, I want you guys to think of 5 players that you personally think will be going at the deadline. You obviously don't have to get into teams because we will do that next week in terms of a lot of these guys. But just kind of for a little bit of a quick preview, which we kind of did, I think, a week or two ago. 5 guys that you really think that are going to be on the move in a couple weeks. So for me specifically, I'm going to go with myself personally. They could be with multiple teams. They could be with a similar team. So one is got Jerry Jeudy. I think he's going to be gone. For the second one, just thinking of my Patriots, I'm going to go with Josh Uche, defensive end. I think, he could definitely get some trade capital there. Oh, man. I was going to say Devontae Adams because he's been unhappy the last couple of times here in Vegas, but I think that's more of a kind of a wild card. These are more of like definites. So Jeudy, Sutton, Cortland Sutton, I think will be gone. That's going to be, I think, a definite. So I think the two receivers from Denver, the other guy who I just had, Josh Uche. Let's see. The Vikings. I think the Vikings are going to unload some of their pieces. Watch out for guys like KJ Osborne, Harrison Smith. Oh, yeah, Danielle Hunter. That's the guy that I think is going to be out there. So I think that's kind of the main piece. So I'm going to have Sutton, Jeudy, Hunter, and then Uche. And then my other guy, my last 5th one, oh, man, Dalvin Cook. I think Dalvin Cook is going to be out there, and I think he's going to get moved because I don't think that the Jets have really used him. And I think that he might not be the same guy he once was, but I think I've been seeing a lot of stuff that Dalvin Cook could be on the trade block. So, James, I'll go to you. 5 guys. Could be with the same team. It could be with different teams. Coming into a couple weeks from now with the trade deadline. 5 guys that you firmly believe that will be on the move.
Okay, Isaiah Simmons, the defensive player from the Broncos.
That's a good one.
Zach Ertz of the Cardinals. He finally got his 1 touchdown. I think he's caught a pass in like a long streak. That's all I remember. But you could tell he's unhappy in that Arizona system on that team. Remember how much he cried about, wanting to be traded, I think, from Philly, and he ended up in Arizona. I bet he wishes that he was in Philly. Instead, they have Goddard, and they're better off.
Sure.
Another one. So no, that's 2. Also give me Hunter Renfrow. The Raiders, they're just not using him.
Yeah. There's so many I forgot too.
I could see like the Lions picking him up. Just another receiving name into there. But yeah, that's number 3 for me. Brian Burns, the linebacker from Carolina. I think that's another one. He's been out there. Again, he's on the 0-6 Panthers, so I think that could be a guy they move on from. And then I'm looking at the Tennessee Titans, and I'm trying to think who they have on defense. Maybe that's some guy somebody they just get rid of just because he can go somewhere better. But Kevin Byard. Maybe they move on from him, Byard. I know he's been there forever, but maybe he's one of those pieces that, maybe they have a domino effect knowing that they really have to do an overhaul in Tennessee. So I'm going Byard maybe as a moving piece for the Tennessee Titans.
Yeah, there's a lot of good names for sure. And I just think there's so many bad teams this year that it's going to be an incredibly busy trade deadline. At least that's my assumption personally. All right, Isaiah, who do you have? 5 players specifically that you firmly believe that's going to be on the trade block in a couple weeks.
All right, so let's start. I mean, you guys named a lot of great players that are on the that most likely will be on the market. So number one on my list, I'm gonna go with Jerry Jeudy. I agree with you, Ben. He seems like it's inevitable that he's gonna be moved. Either him or Sutton. I think both of them probably will be moved. But I think at least Judy's gonna be gone. You know, it just seems like he's not the right fit for Sean Payton's offense. You can get draft picks for him. He's a young wide receiver. A lot of teams need wide receiver help at the deadline. So. I definitely think he's going to be gone. The number two on my list, you know, I think the Patriots, you know, especially with the reports now coming out that Robert Kraft has discussed firing Belichick, that I think he's going to push Belichick to sell. And I think we could see a conflict between those two where Belichick's like, no, hell no, I'm not going to sell. And then Robert Kraft is like, you know what, you are going to sell. And I think we're about to see like a massive internal conflict between Belichick and Kraft at the deadline. But I think, you know, Kraft's going to exert his owner's power and force Belichick to sell. I could see Uche being traded at the deadline. Kendrick Bourne is another name that a lot of people are throwing out there. 49ers. Trent Brown is being thrown out there. A lot of teams need offensive line help. You know, maybe Mac Jones to James's Raiders. No, I'm kidding about that. But
James James
would be so mad if he got a notification on his phone that the Raiders traded for Mac Jones at the deadline.
But the thing about the Raiders though is Mac Jones, he'd be back with McDaniels. You know, where Mac Jones had his best year under him. No.
Jimmy G's hurt too. Jimmy G's hurt. And the Patriots, I mean, the Raiders could move on from him not at the deadline, but at the end of the year. Here's a guy that, you know, this is probably not a name that a lot of people are going to be excited about, but how about Bailey Zappi? He could be moved at the deadline. He hasn't really been used by the Pats this season. They even had him inactive last game. Malik Cunningham was active. I could see Zappi being moved by the Patriots, especially like teams need backups, especially because they look at the Niners from last year where they were down to the third string quarterback and the third string quarterback gets hurt. You cannot have enough quality quarterbacks on your roster. So I could see Zappi being out there. Other players, you know, James mentioned Danielle Hunter. He's probably going to be traded. I still have a hunch that Kirk Cousins is going to be dealt. Like, I know say no, it's not going to happen. But here's the thing, guys. If you're Kirk Cousins, right, and he's saying, oh, I'm not going to waive my no trade clause. But if you're Kirk Cousins, and let's say the Jets offer a package to the Vikings, and the Vikings are intrigued by it, they want that package. If you're Kirk, you see that defense in New York, you see the playmakers with Gary Wilson, you're on a 1-year deal, and you have a chance to go win a Super Bowl, because that that team looks like a Super Bowl contender right now without the quarterback. If you're Kirk, are you really going to turn that down? This might be your best opportunity to win a Super Bowl. Like, if you're real, I just don't see, if the Jets come calling, I don't see that he'll be able to turn it down. And I just don't buy what Robert Saleh is saying about, oh, we like Zach Wilson. Yeah, you like Zach Wilson, but Zach Wilson is a guy that's probably going to only get you like 7 and 10 at best. Kirk Cousins raises your ceiling, and it gets you from a team that's probably 7 and 10 to Super Bowl contenders. So I still think Kirk Cousins is going to be dealt. And then the last name is very interesting. DeAndre Hopkins. I know we talked about him a lot before the season, but Tennessee is tanking right now. Tennessee does not look good. And, you know, Hopkins is one of their more talented players, and I think you could fetch a late-round pick, or at least
watch for the Chiefs. That would be so Chiefs.
Yeah.
They missed him in the offseason. That would be so Chiefs.
Yeah, they missed out on him and then trade a pick for him. Yeah, I can see it.
Remember, they didn't want him because of what his agent was offering.
True.
So they have to go through with that now.
Speaking of the Titans, Derrick Henry, too. There's reports out that Tennessee's shopping him and that they're going to most likely deal him at the deadline. And I was reading a report, fellas. I don't know what report this was, but there was a report of teams that reportedly, I guess, are interested in Henry. And one of the teams that are reportedly monitoring it is the 49ers. Imagine Christian McCaffrey and
God.
Derrick Henry in the same backfield. Good
Oh,
Lord.
oh
And I think,
No.
goodness.
I think the reason why the Niners are monitoring it because McCaffrey has shown he's injury prone. So if
Yeah.
McCaffrey goes down, you still have another stud running back. And plus, Henry won't cost you that much because he's a free agent. So he probably would cost you maybe like a third or a fourth round pick. Like if you give that
He's
up
not the
for
same he
Henry,
once was, but
like
he's.
yeah. But Henry and McCaffrey in the same backfield, goodness sakes. Just forget throwing the football. Just keep running the football all the time.
Oh my goodness. All right. Well, next week, guys. The reason why I kind of started with this is we're gonna each have two hot take trades that you guys think that will happen come the deadline. Any team, any players. So obviously keep that in mind for next show. All right, NBA segment really quickly, and then we'll call it probably a night. Now we're only going to preview the opening night games. We're not going to pretty much just kind of preview the season until probably next show. But I did obviously kind of want to get a head start, like the trade deadline for football. Basketball season, guys, is right around the corner. Kind of another, fun thing in October Madness at this point in time, if you want to call it that. So we got two games, guys, on the 24th. We got the Lakers and the Nuggets. Isaiah, you guys open up against the Nuggets on Tuesday night. Should be really exciting. And then you got Kevin Durant and the Warriors. I was gonna say the Warriors. Kevin Durant's going to take out his former team, the Warriors. You could kind of say that. You have the opening of the Big Three in Phoenix with Bradley Beal, Devin Booker, and Kevin Durant. They're taking on Steph, Chris Paul, and Klay Thompson, and Draymond Green. Both games are going to be on TNT. It'll be awesome. So, in terms of my team, we start this coming Wednesday in New York. And then, James, your Clippers will be taking on the Blazers for the first game on the 25th.
I bet you the schedule makers thought Lillard was going to be on the Blazers when they put that game on.
Maybe.
Whoops.
Let's see who actually the Bucks up. Lillard's debut is going to be taking on the Sixers. So that should be really exciting on Thursday. And then you have Suns Lakers. So the Lakers, Isaiah, this week you guys have Tuesday night in Denver.
Lost.
And then Thursday against the Suns.
Lost.
I mean, talk about a fun opening to start off the season, for sure. Let's start with opening night, because opening night, a lot of fun stuff there. I guess I'll go to my Laker fan here, Isaiah. Let's talk about this game. I know. Let's talk about this game real quick, though. First of all, Isaiah, a really quick expectation in terms of this Lakers team. How do you feel about them? Obviously, you don't have to go, all the way through and in depth about the whole entire season, because we'll talk more about that, I'd say, probably next show. But just kind of a little quick glimpse in terms of how you saw them, maybe a little bit of preseason specifically, kind of the overall lineups there. I know that you're big into Austin Reeves, and he's played a lot already on the starting five there. And you guys have obviously a great test against the NBA Finals champs in this past year. So just your overall thoughts on this one. And then you could also talk about Suns Warriors on Tuesday. Basketball, guys, is back.
Yeah, that's crazy. I cannot believe that basketball is back. It just feels like a month ago that the NBA Finals had just finished, and the off season was about to begin. But I mean, it's crazy how time flies. But about the Lakers, I think this is going to be a good year for the Lakers. They look more fluid. They look more. They look like they have more chemistry. Guys are healthy right now, so that's good. AD looks the best he's looked since he got to LA, which is a great thing. And then they look like they have a lot of good shooters now, which is something that they didn't have last year, and that's why they struggled a lot. I like the signing of Gabe Vincent. I think he's a very good point guard, great defender, good passer, a guy that can hit threes at a really high level. So I like that. D'Angelo Russell, another year with the system. I think he's going to be a lot better than he was in the playoffs. And plus, people forget that for the playoffs, he actually was really good. He was really good shooting the ball, but then he had a slump going into the Western Conference Finals. So that was really not good. But I think with him and Reeves another year sharing in the backcourt together, I think it'll be a great combo. LeBron, AD in the front court with, I think I heard Taurean Prince is going to be starting for the Lakers. So that's kind of interesting. He's a guy that can stretch the floor, good defender as well. So that's really good. I think if you're the Lakers, who I would start Jackson Hayes, because that's a guy that gives you energy. He's kind of like that great screen and roll type of guy. He's like JaVale McGee, where he screens and then just you throw lobs up to him. I think he's a perfect fit with LeBron, AD, and Reeves and Russell. Makes the team more dynamic, and he has really improved as a shot blocker. So I think that they should start Hayes. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets inserted into the starting lineup sometime in the middle of the season. But I like what they did. Christian Wood, steal of the offseason. For a guy that averages 16 points a game, only a minimum level contract. I mean, that's crazy. And then you look at the other guys. They have Cam Reddish, great sniper, great three-point shooter. So I like the team. They have shooting. They got size, they got shot blockers, they got energy, they got guys that are lob threats. I think that if LeBron is healthy, I think the Lakers can really go a long way this season. In terms of the game, oh man, I think it's gonna be, tough to start because they're playing in Denver, and when you're playing in the Mile High, like it's hard to breathe. People. I mean, the Lakers and other teams found out last year that when you're playing in Denver, the pace that the Nuggets play with, it's just so tough to deal with. So I think it's going to be a good game, but I think that I'm scared that the Lakers won't be able to have enough cardio to be able to last throughout the entire 48 minutes. So that's the one thing that really worries me. But I do think the Lakers have a solid chance to win that game because I think they are a better shooting team than Denver. The one thing that really is going to concern me is the size. Jokic versus AD, that's going to be a good matchup. But for some reason, every time Jokic plays against AD, he always schools AD, while against Hachimura, who's like 4 inches shorter than him, Hachimura shuts him down. Like, it just makes no sense whatsoever how that's the case. But it's going to be a great game for sure. And about Suns-Warriors, that's going to be another good game. I want to play you guys what Devin Booker had to say, I think it was a couple of days ago, about this Phoenix Suns team.
I mean, saying it respectfully, I don't know how teams are going to guard us.
Why? Why would you say that? Why would you do what John Morant did last year and put that out there that, hey, I'm comfortable in the West. I'm so comfortable in the West. Why would you say that? Now teams are going to be hunting for you guys. No teams can guard you guys. Really? You're going to put that out there? Like, that was just such a stupid statement by Booker. Like, I like the confidence, but now he's putting a target on their back, and that's just a awful thing to say. Guess what? Steph Curry and the Warriors are going to put – because Booker's not the best defender on the planet. So they're just going to put Booker on ISO one-on-one and see if Booker can stop Steph because he's going to be the point guard now. See if Booker can stop Steph. See if he can guard Klay Thompson. And, on defense, Draymond Green's going to be on Booker. Let's see if Booker can shoot over Draymond Green and see if he can shoot over those top Warriors defenders. So Booker, that was not a smart statement, but about that game, going to be interesting. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. Both the Warriors and the Suns have really good shooters, great snipers, great stars. So that's going to be a great game to watch. I'm going to go with oh my gosh. I'm going to go with Golden State. For some reason, I don't trust Nurkic, him inside. I think Nurkic can be soft sometimes. I wouldn't be shocked if Draymond Green out-muscles him in the interior. So give me Golden State to win that game. But I think both games are going to be really close games.
Yeah, that should be a great way to start off the season. And how about you, James? What is your overall thoughts on these two games? And then for us two, James, we'll get into a little bit of the glimpses for our teams next year.
Yeah, that went on too long. I don't care about the two games and their results. Listen, whenever the Lakers don't win a championship, it's always a good thing. So when you have the first time Denver Nuggets winning it, you'll have the banner ceremony, but you'll have a focused team. Jokic, he was just happy the season was over, and they won the championship, and he just wanted to get back home into his horses. So I love that mentality of just getting back to getting business like. He's just getting to business and then whatever else. So I love that. I love that about him. But look at the Nuggets are, Christian Braun's day to day, Porter's day to day. So Justin Holiday's going to have to play a big role in the season. They might make a trade, who knows? But Lakers look really good this year. Again, they had the best offseason, unfortunately, like as everyone said. But don't be surprised if the Lakers win just because the Nuggets are not that deep this year. So far for this game at least. But man, I'm really looking forward to the banner ceremony. First one there for the Nuggets. I know they've had a couple for the Avalanche in that building, but man, the first one is always special, and I was really happy for all of those guys. So I'm looking forward, I think, more to the ceremony than I am to the ball game, to be honest with you. And then for the Warriors and Suns, is that game in Phoenix, right?
It's in Golden State.
It's in San Francisco. Okay. All right. I think it's going to be fun just based on what I've seen in the preseason with Chris Paul working with Stephen Curry on the pick and rolls. And both could shoot threes, one more than the other better. But both could work on that very well, and they can also do that with Klay Thompson. Well, with Chris Paul being the point guard there, but with Chris Paul being the point guard. So that's going to be fun to watch. Just how that dynamic of bringing Chris Paul in off the bench, that would be pretty fun to see. That would be a new role for Chris Paul because, I wanted James Harden to have that role just to keep his career going at a healthy pace, but he's over in the corner crying, wanting to go to the Clippers. But Chris Paul's adapted to that role, so I really enjoy that he's done that. He realizes he has a shot to maybe win with the Golden State Warriors. So that's going to be a fun dynamic. And yeah, what Booker said there, I know he's a brash, person, and he's very confident in himself. I do remember him crying, though, after the 2021 finals. So, and then he's had, the last 2 years of horrible elimination games in the playoffs. So it's like, yeah, you're talking about it, but be about it. I still think they need a true point guard, though. So, yeah, that's a great Tuesday. And then, forget the games, because I'm going to be watching, inside the NBA tip-off for TNT, my favorite show of all time, like literally Inside the NBA. I will, even though it's a bad thing, I'm going to stay up till the end of it for Inside the NBA. I just can't wait for those four guys to come back, Shaq, Ernie, Chuck, and Kenny. I just can't wait for that. So every Thursday night, I'm locked in for that. Nobody text me, nobody call me. I'm watching Inside the NBA. I'm gonna watch less NBA this year, at least regular season wise. But for sure though, Thursdays, once the West Coast game is over, I'm locked on TNT.
All right, good to know for sure. In terms of these games, real quick for me, Western Conference games, literally 4 teams that will probably be in the playoffs for sure. So it's a pretty good way to kind of start off the year. Denver, obviously, with the banner ceremony, like you mentioned, James. I think that's obviously an awesome start for them and that team. Give me the Nuggets in the close one, I think. And then I think that the Warriors, I would agree with you, Isaiah. I think that the Warriors open up with the win against the Suns. But that's kind of a quick glimpse in terms of that specifically. And then something really quickly before we get into final thoughts, guys. Who is everybody's MVP for this year's NBA season? I'll give you guys about a minute. You guys can take a think about it.
No, I got mine.
But if you guys already have yours, I know, James, if you have yours, Isaiah, you got yours?
Yeah, I think I got mine.
Okay. All right. My MVP for this NBA season, guys. Drum roll, please. All right. It's going to be Giannis Antetokounmpo for the Milwaukee Bucks. I think that I think Embiid got it last year. I'm pretty sure. Right?
Yeah.
So I think that he's going to come up hungry, and I think that with the addition of Damian Lillard, I think it opens up a ton for Giannis this year. And I think that Giannis doesn't have to be the focal point like he's been the last couple of years, and he's been great as the focal point. But I think personally, Giannis is going to have a monster year when you have the combination of the All-Star caliber player with Damian Lillard, and now you have him matched up with Giannis together. Giannis, MVP, here, folks. I know it's kind of a boring pick, but I had that. So, all right, James.
I like yours because with the addition of Lillard, Giannis can assist more. So you'll see maybe more of his game since Lillard is there outside for three. So that might open up that possibility even more. I want to say Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, but I just don't know yet. I don't think he's there yet. It comes down to Tatum, Embiid, and Jokic for me, because all three of those players would have to carry the load, so to speak, more than everybody else. I'm gonna go Joel Embiid. I think he's gonna have to do a lot more with a lot less, and that's gonna look really well because of the James Harden situation, and eventually what James Harden might get him in the long run for a trade. I think that'll help out Joel Embiid, but he's going to have to do everything himself. And the NBA is all about stats and numbers and, scoring averages and all that crap. So I think Embiid's going to thrive off of that.
All right, Isaiah, I might have to do a drum roll for yours because I don't know what to think here.
Oh, boy.
Okay, quick drum roll, everybody, for Isaiah's. 1, 2, 3, and...
Chet Holmgren. I'm going to go with him.
Man.
I think that he has a great season, and here's why. He's so tall. This guy's going to be a monster defensively, and also he's going to be a monster on offense because you have to deal with SGA and his offensive prowess. You have to deal with Josh Giddey and his craftiness. You have to deal with a lot of these weapons that OKC has, so who's going to deal with the big guy in the middle? It's going to be the opposing team's big, and this guy Chet is what everybody thought Kristaps Porzingis should have been if he didn't tear his ACL, and that is a monster both defensively and a guy that can handle the basketball. He can shoot the three. He can dominate in the paint. I mean, who's going to guard Chet? It's like Wemby. Like if Wemby bulks up, he gets a year under his belt. He has muscle. He is going to be unstoppable, especially because Chet's playing with guys like an SGA who can hurt you big time, or even Josh Giddey. So I think Chet has a great year. I think he's going to win the MVP this year because I think Oklahoma City is going to surprise a lot of people. And actually, I know they missed the playoffs, but they remind me of the Cleveland Cavaliers, who took that big step after just barely missing the playoffs. And I think OKC is going to be fighting for a top 3 seed in the Western Conference.
I hope.
All right. I like it. I like this, the not boring and, off the rails type of thing. That's a good one, Isaiah. We'll see. I really hope that Holmgren really thrives off this year because he's going to be a really fun player. Him and Wemby obviously kind of going back at it in terms of the height, the skill of those two guys specifically. All right, guys. With that being said, we're now in the final thoughts. Isaiah, obviously, like I mentioned, you didn't get the chance to do winners and losers for NFL, so you could, put that into your final thoughts if you want to. My final thought specifically is, first of all, guys, thanks once again for a great show. Got through a bunch of stuff. Obviously, baseball is kind of the big focal point right now. It's on top of football. Hopefully, you guys enjoy the games this weekend. Everything in October Madness month, I guess I can call it at this point in time now. Lots of good college games, like you mentioned. Be glued to the TV, especially if it's going to be raining a lot today, or at this point in time today, on the East Coast. And yeah, just It's going to be awesome. There's a lot of fun stuff around at this point in time. Lots of good stuff to talk about. There's a lot of times in sports where there's a couple times, during a month where it's just nothing, no sports content. And this is essentially the total opposite. This is kind of peak where we can kind of do a lot of our great stuff right now. So awesome, good stuff. And be on the lookout for our next watch party coming up. We'll see specifically maybe tomorrow. I'll maybe have to talk about, maybe I can go possibly solo. I'm not sure. I'll have to kind of see about that. But definitely we'll try to do potentially Monday, especially at least on my show. Monday seems like a big day specifically. If not the baseball, maybe you, Isaiah, and Steven, potentially us can do a potential Monday night game specifically for football, especially because you guys kind of go at it. That would be a lot of fun. But regardless, yeah, be on the lookout, guys, for a watch party for sure, because I thought that the first one we did was absolutely phenomenal. So, good show, guys, and I'll take it to you guys.
Yeah, great show. Thank you, Ben, for hosting this show. James as well, thanks for being on. Want to thank our viewers for tuning in tonight. And also, I want to echo what Ben said. Thanks to our viewers for tuning in and, just commenting the heck out of our comment section and liking our video and just watching it. And, we had a great time. Me, James, Ben, Steven as well. We had like 1,500 views and it's still climbing. And also I looked at our IM6 Network Facebook page. We got over 40 more viewer or followers now and likes. So that's pretty cool. Thank you to everybody for, watching and, subscribing. And we got more messages on the IM6 page asking us, how can we subscribe? What great content this was. So the feedback was just absolutely extraordinary and it was just fantastic to see. So, we're definitely going to have another watch party. I don't know when, hopefully, maybe on Monday, if our schedules line up. So make sure you guys tune in for that. I'm trying to maybe sneak in a basketball NBA preview show on Sunday, so we'll try to sneak that one in. Who knows? We'll see. But yeah, it's a great show tonight, guys. Thank you so much to everybody for tuning in, and hopefully the Rangers can bounce back because that was such a crushing blow. But if there's one team that can do it, it's Texas, because they've been through so much this entire season. And they've been just, they've suffered a lot of crushing blows, and they still managed to bounce back. As far as my winners and losers go for the NFL Week 6, I believe it was. I mean, wow, yes. This season has just gone by so fast.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna go quickly about it. Week 6, my number one winner, it's got to be the Cleveland Browns. Jim Schwartz with that defense proved legit. The Browns show the world that, hey, they may be a contender in the AFC North, especially with Deshaun Watson if he gets healthy and he comes back. So they're number one, big winner. Number 2, the Jacksonville Jaguars. They blew out the Colts like they were supposed to. They put up a lot of points like they were supposed to. And they've won now 4 in a row. So they look like one of the best teams in the AFC after a rough stretch that they had to open the season. And then the third winner that I had is the guy down below, James Gonzalez, because James always comes onto our shows and always is kind of moody about the Raiders and the Angels, but guess what? For the first time in forever, James will actually go into November actually joyful about his Raiders and actually have a chance because they might make the playoffs. I mean, they're what?
No.
They're 3-3 right now. They play the Bears. They probably are going to win that one because Justin Fields is out. So definitely congrats to the Raiders. That was a great win. And Josh McDaniels, he is saving his job as we speak. I know a lot of Raider fans don't like him, but sadly, he is saving his job. And then my big losers, the New Orleans Saints. You blew out the Patriots, and then you suffer a really bad defeat where your offense just absolutely struggles. Not a good look. And then I would probably say Jake Moody, the Niners kicker, because how do you miss a 41-yard field goal? That's like an extra point. Like, if you can't, I understand if you miss a 54-yarder, fine. But to miss a 41-yard field goal, man, come on, dude. Like, when you're kicking for a Super Bowl contender, you cannot be missing 41-yard field goals like that. And my other loser, sorry to rub it in, Ben, but I have to, but it's got to be the Patriots. You know, just sloppy play, tons of mistakes, tons of penalties. Mac Jones looked good in that game, but offensive line could not block, wide receivers dropping balls left and right. I mean, it's just kind of like it's a repeat. It's kind of like a microcosm of this entire season so far. So, those are my winners and losers of week 6.
All right, James, any final thoughts really quick before we wrap this up?
No, I'm just I can't wait for tomorrow. I think I have like 3 more shows to do for the weekend, plus my stuff on YouTube. Check me out at The Chair with James. I'm going to preview the Raiders matchup against the Bears, and then do some food reviews, and then week 7 picks. Man, I can't believe we're already in week 7. It goes by fast and really don't want it to. But it does. And hopefully USC can bounce back against Utah. And then, I can't wait for tomorrow's baseball and then Sunday's baseball. And before you know it, again, TNT on Tuesday.
All right. Well, that being said, guys, thank you guys once again for joining Kicking with Kruse. I'm Ben Kruse, as you're always your host on the program. Make sure to like, subscribe, and comment whatever you guys want to do on the MI6 network, all of the fun stuff over there. We're obviously, like Isaiah mentioned, we're getting viewership by each show, by the day. So obviously keep up the great work, guys, from there. But with that being said, thank you guys once again for tuning on the channel alongside Ben Kruse, Isaiah Leon, James Gonzalez. We will give you guys the outro to conclude tonight's program. And have a great rest of your night. Thank you, guys.
Oh my God! Big goal to go from the 2. Toss sweep one for James White. Cuts it up with the right arm. Cuts it upfield. Driving forward. Diving to the goal line. A touchdown and a title for the Patriots. I can't believe it. Play clock at 5. Pass is intercepted at the goal line by Malcolm Butler.
45 remaining. Tatum drives down and throws it down. Bases loaded. 2 out. Hard hitting to right. Back at the wall. Tie game. Big Puppy.
No icing. For the first time in 39 years, the Boston Bruins have won the Stanley Cup.
Anything's possible!